TGIF crush.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 2nd of June, 2024. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today is Zachary Burgess.
Definitely not Friday.
And Robert Kemp.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't.
Not even Monday. Not even one of the other days where you record podcasts on sometimes.
Well, yeah. And it's definitely not a day that you TGI.
Not for the usual reason.
No, I don't.
Maybe for some other reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you don't normally associate that with a phrase or anything. It's not like, oh, thank God it's Sunday.
I mean, literally, thank God it's Sunday.
I mean, a lot of people do, but it's not. it's not a phrase. All right, let's try this sour beer. It smells provocative.
It smells like cherry, I would hope, since that's what they're claiming it is.
I mean, I don't know what it smelled like. Smell out that. That is a weird ass smell.
Provocative.
It does smell like cherry.
Cause an argument.
You think it smells like cherry?
Yeah, I think so. Black cherry, specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that sour either. It's called Death by Cherries, and it's supposed to be like a cherry sour beer.
And Rob is not dead.
Yeah, I'm not dead for one thing. But...
You've only had a sip.
You're give the whole thing, and then you just instantly die.
Yeah.
I'm not super into my sours, but Gnome saw it and thought, "Oh, a cherry beer, that would be nice." But it's
just arbitrarily.
Well, yeah, she was doing me a solid. But
I presume TGI Friday feels like an American phrase, right?
Yeah.
TGI Fridays
Always
being
certainly.
a chain as well.
Yeah, restaurant chain.
All that.
God, I haven't seen one of those in forever.
And of course, being British, like the Chris Evans version was TFI Friday, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Swear it up a bit.
Yeah.
we don't need no God over here.
Yeah, exactly. The secular version, TFI
Right,
Friday. Yeah. But I don't see that. Like, you'd think, I guess that was used up because no one else is making that joke. Like, you don't get, we have like clothing brands called like FC UK and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe that was a 90s thing.
Or that TFI is probably trademarked by Channel 4 or Chris Evans' estate, so no one else can actually use it.
Possibly.
Right.
Whereas I guess TGI was enough of a thing that it's fine.
Can't trademark God.
Yeah.
Probably.
Wasn't the show that he did before TFI Friday, it was called Don't Forget Your Toothbrush? Like,
yeah.
Oh, was that a Chris Evans joint as well?
I think so. That from a category of like random TV show names.
Yeah, I can't really remember that one.
No.
I mean, in my head, he just jumped straight from Big Breakfast to TFI's, right?
TFI
they were running at the same time?
Yeah, I think they were. Like, he moved, but they were both still on.
Yeah.
I remember it being sort of fun, I guess, and exciting at the time, but I'm pretty sure anything TFI Friday, if you look back on it now, is pretty cringe, apart from like the...
Well, I mean, isn't everything in the past cringe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, some things age better than other things, you have to admit.
But any of those, probably not.
Not aged well, no.
Like, I watched a great deal of... I can't even remember what it was called now, but like a show that was basically If the Traitors was boiled down to be a game show that you watch in half an hour.
Right. Because the
everyone
Traitors is just werewolves, right? Or mafia or whatever.
Yeah, but with a reality TV spin, and it's it's actually very, very good because actually reality TV spin is almost the key component because it gives everything time fester and to actually form proper opinions and
right,
as opposed to like the game show format, which is like so rapid fire that the questions are so like everything is just so out of left field and feels so forced and doesn't work. Didn't work, and like no wonder because it only ran for like a little while. And it's
even a game of werewolves with your friends takes like 20 minutes at least.
Sure,
right?
but it's
probably half an hour.
But it's I don't know. In some respects, it's like steeped in the knowledge that you already know each other, right? And so it's about reading the tells that you already know, rather than asking ridiculous questions about each other's personal lives and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's like, yeah, that's your poker face. Like it's clearly you.
Yeah.
Like, or the fact that last time I played it with Gnome, she laughed when she made the werewolf. So she was just sat next to me and she went hee hee during the.
Okay, failed the game.
And I'm like, it's Gnome. She
it's clearly Gnome. Oh dear.
But why have that been the play? Got to fake it.
Yeah, but what is the benefit to you? You're just going to get if you're an innocent and not the werewolf, you would just get killed off for no benefit.
Well, that's why the modern era of these games like Among Us or whatever it's called in Gmod, they have the jester where the aim is to get eliminated deliberately, but then you win.
Yeah. I think there might be a role in werewolves where that can be in play.
We used to have the devil who was on the side of the werewolves, but was still human. But that still, it still doesn't help the werewolves if the devil is killed off early,
right?
Because they're supposed to be arguing for the werewolves in the.
I've played with like various rules, like the I think is it the mystic or something who has the ability to open their eyes at any time during the night scenes and things like that, so they can they're allowed to try and see who the werewolves are, but they've got to do it sneakily, obviously, because then the werewolves know who you are, and that kind of stuff. And I've played the Cupid rule as well, which is kind of fun because it bonds two players together.
Mm.
So even if one is a werewolf and one isn't, and they don't know that, they're bond. So if one of them dies, they both die, which is kind of fun.
We used to have a role called the Swedish Hitchhiker who would just shack up with someone overnight, so they were invulnerable. Which is so stupid. Don't ask me why it was called. That was the role. Oh, that was a long time ago.
Wait, so that player is just perma invulnerable, like.
No, they could be. I don't know. They could be killed, but if they chose someone during the night, that person was invulnerable.
Oh, right. No, yeah. I think there is a rule. I think there is some role that does that anyway, like an official role that's not a Swedish hitchhiker. Yeah. Like there's a way to protect someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the werewolves pick them, they're okay. Yeah. But the hitchhiker could be picked and can never be okay. I guess. I think that's the way that works.
Yeah, exactly. But that didn't work in a half-hour TV format, I'm guessing.
Well, no, it's just really cringe. Going back to the original point, like it was just, didn't really work. It was filled with some fantastic, like early 2000s graphicery, though. And a very bright stage. It was like almost pure white, like with a like slightly overly rounded font in the background. Reminded me a little bit of like that sort of early PlayStation 2 era aesthetic.
Well, stick that on the aesthetics wiki.
PlayStation 2 roundedness. So how's everyone doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
You right? Watching anything good?
I've been busy being a consumer this week, I guess.
Consumer?
Buying new shit. Or the last 2 weeks, I suppose.
Consume?
Finally got a new chair after 3 or 4 false starts of getting a chair shipped all the way to my house, assembling it, and then being like, I don't like this. Then get rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You had to ship them back?
Yep. Like more than once.
God, that sounds like a pain.
So what was the process of choosing your new, basically where you spend quite a while, quite a large portion of your life?
Well, in this case, it was like, I'm pretty much done with this process. I'll just take this one now.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's fine. It's like...
You're resigned to it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's basically like Rob's chair, except less expensive.
Fine.
Well, like, you've got one of those gamer chairs, right?
I've got a Secret Lab Titan Evo 2022.
Yes. I've got one like this, but less expensive and a bit smaller. But the thing was that the chair I was trying to replace and why I kept sending these on one's back is because I wanted a very specific thing, which is like arms that move out of the way.
Yeah.
But I've just given up on that now. So
it's really hard to find like good ones that do that. Like,
but at least it has the multi-dimensional adjustable things like these gamer chairs do.
It's like, I think I've said it before. That is my only real beef with this chair, is that these arms rattle
right
a bit. They don't feel completely solid. Like I don't know. Audio example.
Right, yeah.
But the ones on this new chair that I have, like, you can raise them up, but I guess on this chair as well, like, you can raise them up, but the lowest is like, why would you want to go any higher than this?
Yeah, exactly.
This is like the very highest I'd wanted anyway.
Like, if I couldn't swing them out, it would be really lovely if I could just push them down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because
just fold them.
because I've never used my steering wheel since getting that chair. Because in fairness, I've not used it on this desk. I'm a little bit unsure about whether it would be
to that desk.
whether it would be a good idea or not. But because obviously when you're using that, you want arms that go as low as possible, so your elbows don't clonk it.
That's why I had the chair with the flip of arms before. Is because when I was using a controller, it's not that I would not have my arms on the chair. It's like I would have my arms on the chair, like propping my elbows onto the arms of the chair to hold the controller.
Yeah.
But I've got used to not having that since the arm on my chair broke. So, like, now I'm fine.
Yeah, now they're a problem. Man, I can't even remember how I used to do it. Like, it's been so long since I've used a controller with my PC. Right, since I stopped playing Rocket League.
Yep. And that's why I'm still using a controller on my PC. My ancient ass Hellblade Xbox 360 controller. Still works, just about.
Man, those controllers are the best. They're still the best.
Yep.
D-pad aside.
Well, who cares about that?
and they last forever. Like,
yep.
They're built like a tank.
And then the other thing I bought slightly before that was... So we recorded a Half-Life 2 video last week. It'd be the next one that's uploaded after the one that's just been uploaded.
Part 5. Yeah.
And hilariously, neither of you made any comment about the fact that I had a new mic.
Well, it sounded equally fuzzy as normal, but...
Well, I hope it fucking well didn't, because it was way better.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll listen it back. I haven't actually done the editing yet,
so what's the mic you've gone for then? It was definitely a lot louder. I remember that.
Well, yes.
I had to turn it down.
We did talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just another, like, well, it's technically a Yeti, but it's under Logitech.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
To go with my weird brand loyalty to Logitech, but it's all integrated into the same, like, driver set or whatever, so I just have one big menu where I can adjust everything.
That's kind of
Well, that's quite cool. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I have this new mic, and it's slightly awkward because, like, so the Logitech headset that I bought slightly before that had that the kind of regular quality shit mic on it. Yeah. That did have monitoring, so you could have that mic feed back into the headset. And so this new mic also has monitoring, but you have to take the headphones and plug them into the bottom of the mic.
Oh, weird. Right, so because they're on their own, but then presumably you lose the PC sound, or does the PC sound feed through the mic?
Because the mic is actually like another sound device.
Oh, weird.
So it's taking the PC sound and then mixing it with the headphone,
mixing it with the side tone,
and then you get the side tone out of the bottom of that port.
Is that configurable as well?
Yeah, you can like balance it to more or less side tone, and
that's pretty rad.
Yep, it is pretty cool.
If you're like a solo, if you're not in a if you're not in the environment like we are, where we have multiple mics and stuff like that, like if you're rocking your own setup, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Apart from it's a cable nightmare because you've got like the mic, then like it's attached by a USB cable to the top of my PC, which is like next to me. So that cable already goes like way up there, and then from the bottom you've got the headphone cable, which is obviously now far too long because it's not actually going anywhere between the bottom of the mic and my headset.
Right.
It's like this is kind of awkward with these cables, and also.
Oh man, you should have mentioned because we'll do a proper calibration and get it all like
That's why I wanted to see if you'd even notice. Which, if you did, that's kind of a problem.
Maybe I might not have noticed because it was coming through so loud at first, right?
Well,
I may have assumed the fuzz was just.
I kind of wouldn't have expected Dan to necessarily notice because he might have assumed I was here,
right?
Where we both have the same quality of mic.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Doesn't have I don't have an arm yet. That's the other thing I probably need to try and get a hold of for it.
Yeah, not so good when you're rocking it on. I mean, it's fine on the table, but it just unless you've got like proper suspension on the, which some table mics do. In fairness, they'll have.
This one definitely doesn't.
Yeah,
it's just I mean, it's like rubberized on the bottle, or whatever, so it muffles it somewhat.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. Like, unless it's in like like one of these.
And luckily,
I forget what they're even called, but the little cradles.
Luckily, my keyboard isn't too clicky. Although, speaking of that, I might have to get a new keyboard soon because the W key is starting to feel bad.
Oh, not the W key.
Yep, the one key that you're always going to wear down.
Oh, mate. But then it's extra weird to just like in my head I've always thought that's fine, you could just shift one set over and it's like
no, you can't.
No, it's not right.
Muscle memory doesn't work like that.
It's not right. Because I've always wondered, actually, like, is that actually just better generally? Just shifting a whole set over, like, to give you just more keys around in a sort of in an arrangement around you.
But the trouble is that like the shift control tab area, the whole reason is that like those keys are bigger to make it easier for your weaker fingers to push.
Yeah, for the pinky.
I mean, maybe you could like. Yeah, I don't know if you could. I mean, I guess you could bind multiple of like have Z and / be the same as shift, so you can have different options. Just hit whatever one is there.
Assuming the game supports multi-binding, because not all of them do.
I'll just write an all-day hotkey and then
true.
bypass it that way.
You could do that.
I still have those on my desktop. I have 3 stupid auto hotkey scripts that do various other things, like the one that just replaces like E with mouse button 4 because there was a point when Terraria didn't support mouse button 4, so I had to create this one singular auto hotkey script rebind to make it use my side mouse button.
I love mouse 4.
Yes, I know. That's why it sucked at the time, because it was in Terraria.
Because who likes mouse 3?
Well, mouse 3 is generally too inconvenient to push. Mouse 4 is the one that your finger sits on.
Yeah, exactly. Screw mouse 3.
For Terraria, that's where I wanted the grappling hook, obviously. The thing that you need all the time, which is why it was E in the default binding. But just pressing E is not nearly as convenient as having it on your mouse hand. I mean, considering you're aiming with the mouse as well, obviously.
Yeah, I usually use mouse 4 for my melee button, right? Like in a shooter, for instance. It's nice to suddenly go. Oh well, that's mouse 5 for me. I've got a second side button, just a little bit higher. So like that's my grenade switch.
So yeah, that's my new shit.
You're consuming.
Yep.
Investment in stuff.
I've been considering some consumption.
Oh yeah.
Like the idea. I can't get out of my head the idea of making some sort of like mini PC to live under the telly, right? To have access to my Steam library without Steam Link lag. Because Steam Link lag does kind of suck. It's like it's not great. Yeah, and I just can't quite land on how to do it. There's plenty of like the mini PC is a thing now, right? Like I think some tech blogs call it an NUC. I don't really know what that stands for. But like so like you'll see ads everywhere for like Geekom. I guess they do these little boxes that are a little bit, I would say, like taller but smaller than a Mac Mini kind of size, if you see what I mean. So they're like 2 Mac Minis on top of each other, but more GameCube sort of footprint. And those seem to be getting quite powerful quite quickly. As in, I think they're seemingly finding ways to catch up, but they're not as cheap as you would like, right? A bit of me wants to just go in at this like at console price level. But some of the nicer ones or the ones I might consider are like 700, 800 quid still.
Right.
For something that isn't probably not going to be quite powerful enough for playing. You wouldn't use it to play like full on PC games, right? I'd use it to play more of the indie stuff. And
surely the point is that if you're playing like, what sort of games are you going to be playing that you need to worry about lag, except for like Lethal League, obviously?
Lethal League's a big one, yeah. God, don't talk about Lethal League. It's making me want to play Lethal League.
I mean, I haven't played Lethal League for ages.
It's been a while.
And you know what that means.
It's been a while. I was thinking about that we haven't played Smash in friggin' ages.
Yeah,
as
that
well,
too.
In fairness. It's because we keep stabbing things.
Well, sometimes, yeah.
In Hyrule Warriors. But, so it would be that sort of like middle tier, not AAA, I suppose. I'm not looking for cutting edge on this thing. I'm just looking for good enough to play the sort of smaller tier games. But then like even those like at 700, 800 quid, that thing is still more powerful than a Switch, right? It's still more, it's going to look pretty
significantly.
Yeah, it's going to look good for most things that you might consider.
I mean, what about a Steam Deck in dock mode or whatever? What's that?
Yeah, I mean that's the other side of the coin. It's not. It's probably not as powerful as one of those, and because the Steam Deck isn't super powerful, and it's only really targeting 720p, right?
That's true.
Because of its inbuilt screen.
Yeah, it might be a bit blurry on a TV, I guess.
Yeah,
but maybe not for the indie stuff. I think it depends.
Yeah,
maybe it can do.
It's pretty juicy, right? It must be juicy enough if it can kind of GameCube emulate, right? That's the other thing. Like, I want to be able to emulate at least GameCube level on this thing.
Well, that's the thing.
So I can get my 1080p F-Zero on.
with Steam Deck, there'll be a ton of support for like decent UI and stuff for emulators and things. Right?
Yeah. There's
that you couldn't figure out with a PC, but
No. It's not bad on there. But then like the PC handheld alternatives, which are no slouches. I'm not going to say that they're bad either. Like things like the Asus ROG Ally and stuff like that. But they're not quite as well designed for the docking stuff. You can do it, but like the cables come out the top, right? Like the docking station isn't as well designed as like the Switch dock, which would be the ideal. So there's ways in there, but the ROG Ally is not cheap. Steam Deck's not outrageously priced.
No, it's pretty good, isn't it?
But then a bit of me is like, well, I'm not paying for the sticks or the screen. Like I don't need that bit if I'm going to be putting it under my telly, right? Like it's unnecessary. It's like if Steam did a version of the Steam Deck that wasn't a deck. Hey, what if it was a Steam machine?
What if it's a Steam box?
Or it's the Steam box. If they put one of those out.
I guess the LCD screen version is cheaper, right?
Yes, but it's no longer manufactured. They are out of stock of that version. You have to get the OLED now. If you're ordering from Steam Direct, I'm sure you could probably find an else. Well, maybe that's the trick. Maybe I try and find.
It looks like you can still get
eBay
it
one
for $350. This 256 gig.
Last time I looked, you go to that process and then you go to that system and it goes, "No, we haven't got it."
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, cool. Oh no, I've added it to my cart. Remove.
Oh, okay, you got that far. That's better than maybe they have got some.
Yeah, maybe
stock.
they do.
Maybe
350. That's quite a lot cheaper than the full blown ones. The OLED ones, 479.
Yeah, because I wouldn't need the OLED if I'm not planning to use it. But then the bit of you goes, oh yeah, but the OLED though, right? And they've all got bigger hard drives as well.
Well, if you're going to actually use it undocked, then totally get the fancy new one.
Yeah, but I never do. Like I always say to myself, it's like maybe I will play something a little bit more.
Maybe you'll play
handheld.
A portable game. Yeah,
yeah, but I never really actually do it that way. I'd much rather on the screen or on a screen. It's probably going to be more of a thing in about 4 to 5 years' time, right? When Milesy is
when Bubba's using the TV.
Yeah, exactly. Then I might benefit from a handheld or the ability to run away. One of the two.
Just drive away very fast in your electric car and then break out the Steam Deck somewhere on the side of the motorway. You've got some space to yourself.
Just go hide in here. This little studio room a bit more.
Then you're sitting in front of a PC then.
Yeah. And I'll just play it on the PC. Yeah, so it's kind of irrelevant at that point. But yeah, I don't know. That's sort of what I've been looking at. Like it's a splurge. It's unnecessary. It's but I try and be a bit more sociable. It still feels bad if I escape to this room to play a game. Like it feels kind of bad if I escape to this room to do Saladcast video or music
or this
stuff.
podcast.
or this
Wow. It's still social.
It doesn't really feel that bad doing this podcast because I'm engaged with people. Right? That seems to make a difference, I think. But
play more Derg with me, then there's at least one person.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
The most social, clearly.
This is a scheduled event.
What should I buy with my money? I can't think
of anything.
How should I consume?
What should I buy?
What am I supposed to consume? I need an even much less version to get a Steam Deck than you do.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's like I'm worried about. I'm thinking about this mini PC, but also I still haven't got a PS5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
and we've all got to think about buying a Switch 2 soon.
Right? Oh yeah, that's just next year.
Well, relatively
Switch 2 is next year's problem.
And Switch 2 probably won't break the bank, although it'll be more expensive. They'll still have a hefty markup on it, I'm sure, being
Nintendo tax.
And that Windows 10 support date, end of support date is just over a year away, so I need a full PC.
How's that going to work for Windows 10 this time? Is it still going to be as harsh as Windows 7's one's cutoff was?
Sounds like it, yeah. But it's going to be a full-on EOL, and that they're just not going to... It's still going to run, just like Windows 7 did, right?
Yeah.
But there's just not going to be security updates or...
Well, I mean, 7 had some... Well, I mean, obviously there's a period after where they still do some stuff.
Maybe,
and then there's always the Windows Defender stuff or whatever that's separate.
Oh, sure, yeah. I guess if Defender if that version of Defender is still able to receive up,
I mean,
what are they called? The identifying database or whatever.
I was still getting those on Windows 7 right up until the end. The Defender updates.
Mm. Yeah.
And by the end, I mean literally last year.
But it also means, like, past that point, things like Steam and Chrome and stuff, they can choose to pull the plug.
Well, they can, and they did in 7's case, but that was for a very specific reason. It's not just like... I don't see necessarily any particular reason for that happening in Windows 10.
Maybe.
Because in 7 it was a very specific case of, like, Google Chrome wasn't supported, and because everything runs on Chromium, then that made everything unsupported, essentially.
If you want to talk, like, software development, it's another thing you have to test.
Oh, sure.
So it's, I don't know. There's a cost to...
But I think having, 2 versions of Windows simultaneously is about average. In long-term views, there's always some overlap.
Depends how deep you go, like, honestly, because, doing all of your test routine a second time to support another version of an OS is a royal pain in the arse. And I bet most places take shortcuts for that, right? They just go...
especially between 10 and 11. I bet that's a real shortcut.
Yeah, like, if it works on 10, the chances of it working on 11 are very good. But not perfect. Yeah, anyway, so that's coming. So, I should probably think about buying a full PC and then worrying about the probably weeks of labour it will take to move my music environment onto it.
That is your main problem.
It's going to be a real arse. Like, yeah. Because I'm not sure there's a proper upgrade path, and I don't know if I want to... At this time, I'm not sure if I want to keep the whole dual OS thing going and keep them separate. Like, maybe I'll just run it on one this time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But a new PC is in order.
Yeah.
Mostly for CPU and video editing power, not so much for games. I'm kind of happy with where my machine still is for games, right? It's not that it can't run things. I prefer to play them on my Series X than on this PC, because the Series X is more powerful, but for that 1080 card, this thing's like 7 years old now. It's done well.
Yeah. Good service.
I might still keep the case. So it's enormous.
God, still.
Giant case of two.
Goddamn fucking ridiculous case.
It's big and easy to work in.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like case tech has changed all that much.
No.
But then I might go to a PC builder this time, in which case they'll just give you a case, right?
Well, can in most of them you can send your case in.
Can you?
Well, I say that, but I don't know if they have like a cut-off limit on how old a case they'll work in,
or how big and heavy it
is. Well, I mean that's more of a how much are you willing to pay to ship it to them problem, I guess.
What builder would you think of?
Oh, I don't really know. I don't know if I haven't really looked into it all that much, but like I assume overclockers are still about. That's the only one I really know. But
what did you use, Zach?
PC specialist, the same people I did on the previous PC.
Right? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like it's brand loyalty on a 100% record, essentially, because I only ever had one PC from them, and it lasted like 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything. Like, at that time scale, probably not even the same people are even working there between those two PCs.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing holding me back from using a PC builder is... That was an interesting noise. Boom.
That was an interesting noise.
Don't even know what that was. Is the fact that I know this massive case has like basically bonkers room for hard disk storage, and I run a lot of hard disks.
Right.
It's like I don't need to run that many hard disks. I could consolidate.
Well, yes, you can, especially with volumes nowadays.
But I don't know. It is useful having that much storage just available, so I could just go. Well, I'll just chuck this over here for now, and then I'll faff for that.
Yes,
and then,
as I always say, whenever Rob mentions anything about hard disk space, he always has huge amounts of hard disk space, but he always complains about how he doesn't have any hard disk space.
I'm always cleaning it up. That's the thing.
So I was like, oh no, I've only got 250 gigabytes left.
Well, I don't know. Like that's like 1 or 2 DaVinci Resolve caches away from filling up.
Sure, for video editing, that you need the space.
Yeah,
I have this weird problem which is not a non-problem, which is that I put my amplifier, as in like hi-fi amplifier, on top of my PC case.
right.
Which has always been fine, but nowadays pretty much all cases have fans on the top.
Yeah,
and it's like I need to get them to make one that doesn't have fans on the top, so I can put stuff on top of it.
It exists. My work PC doesn't have a.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I can't actually see. I normally keep my VR headset on top of my work PC, so I don't actually know.
It seems like nowadays the almost normal CPU cooling solution is to have a bank of fans on the top attached to the liquid cooling of the
my new PC doesn't have a top fan. It has a top grate. It's just like open at the top.
Oh, I see.
It's open.
It's venting, but not.
Well, I don't think it's venting because like the fans on it are like free on the front, and then the water cooler is attached to the one at the back.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Good. Like
that's
cooler.
what I need.
Like liquid cooler.
Yeah,
don't call it water. But yeah, it's like it's got a grill on the top so you can see through it, but it's not actually. None of the fans are pointing in that direction, so I don't know how much difference that would make if you covered that. I assume probably not that much.
Yeah, I've got a big old top fan on this thing.
And I still feel like it's weird on my current PC that like it's got 3 fans on the front, so the entire front of the PC is just fans. There's no drives or anything up there. Well, no visible drives, but like those fans point backwards through the case. But the front of the case is also just a glass pane, so those fans intake sideways through a slit down the edge of the glass, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like that seems like a not very efficient airflow solution, really. But whatever.
That's a fairly common modern design.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of those. I think Fractal do a lot of cases like that. Because the whole point in the build of Fire, as I call my PC, was because Ice, my previous machine, had so many goddamn cooling problems because it was just the front of it was just a metal slab, right? It had absolutely no intake. It only had like a classic old school side intake, right? And but that. I think that was too high on the design of the side panel, so the air
point at the graphics card. Basically,
yeah, the air never really got to the GPU, and so there came a point where I basically had to run it with the case open to get airflow into it. And so it was so I like overcompensated with Fire, because the entire front panel is basically just fans. And don't get me wrong, they still make those cases. You can still get cases like this, but cooling has not been an issue at all in this thing.
No.
Like, not even close. And I think that's partly because I went for a nice cooling, aftermarket cooler on top of an Intel processor, because Intels do run cooler than AMDs. But they, it's always overcompensated. I went too far the other way.
There's one other thing about cooling that has been still slightly annoys me about my new case, is that it has metal ping. When it starts heating up, it just occasionally goes as it shifts around. It's like, I really hate that, because that seems like a problem, but it's not. It's just the bits of metal expanding very slightly against the case.
That would drive me crazy. It's like when it's not quite as bad as like when a bit of case vibrates at a certain fan RPM.
Speed,
I had to actually, like, I don't know if it broke some company policies or something, but actually I went into the BIOS on my work PC because it's an AMD chipset in that thing, and they naturally run hot. They're designed to run hot. It's not a problem. If you're a builder or something like that, it's like those AMD chips. They look it up, but they will target a temperature, so they will run faster to get to that temperature because they know that that's where they want to be, and then they'll slow down. So they try and run hot. It's weird. Go read about it. It's kind of interesting, but but of course that threw the fan profile of my work PC completely out of the water, like the out of the box profile, and it was just spinning them all, and it was incredibly noisy. But worse than that, like it's got loads of fans in it, but one of them is incredibly whiny and like toneful. So like I don't know how important that one is. It's one of the case fans, not a CPU fan specifically, fortunately. But like so you could hear it go woo sort of in the background, and it's like I'm turning you off. I hope that doesn't break anything. Make good fans, people. So yeah, I could build one, but I always make one mistake.
Yep.
In fairness, Fire's been pretty good, but the one mistake I made was I went too big on the RAM. I
mean, that's not really a very important mistake.
No, it's not. It hasn't negatively impacted me, but I could have saved a bit of money.
Yeah.
Basically, like
sure.
the speed profile for the RAM is way faster than the motherboard can handle, as it turned out. There's some awkward. The motherboard is rated to handle that speed, but there's some awkward combination of things, of settings and stuff like that it just doesn't do it. Just doesn't come together. It doesn't detect it right, and it doesn't actually push out that speed with that RAM. And so that I undercut the motherboard too much, basically. And for the RAM I bought. Also, I've got I guess 32 gigs of RAM is now becoming a bit more standard,
more normal now. Yeah,
but I still haven't really run into much that ever pushes that, unless you're developing. Like, that is the one thing I've discovered where, like, you actually really do push a system's RAM limits, is when you're doing development or
I've got
running VMs.
On my laptop.
Yeah, my work PC's got 32, and I have pushed that to the limit several occasions without even running a VM. But yeah, I'm like doing music work, doing video work even. DaVinci Resolve could probably use twice as much RAM as it does. That would be nice. Yeah, it just doesn't really. Nothing's ever pressured 32 gigs of RAM yet. So I didn't need it. Could have saved a few bucks. The USB works on this one.
Yeah, that was the previous error.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with Ice, but the USB was terrible on that thing. Constantly failing.
Well, I know what I have to buy when it comes out.
The Deku Tree Lego set?
Yes, exactly that. How did you know? That's literally what I was about to say.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man, where am I going to put this thing? And also, it's a 2-in-1. Have you seen this?
Oh no, I didn't know. What's the other one?
Yeah, so you can either construct it as Breath of the Wild Deku Tree or as Ocarina Deku Tree.
Oh,
and it comes with
I didn't realize that.
minifigs. So it comes with Breath of the Wild, Link, and Zelda, and it also has Ocarina Adult and Child Link.
Yeah, it's in the pictures for the Ocarina variant, but like...
I actually think the Breath of the Wild variant looks nicer. It's bigger as well, because the Ocarina variant has a side build for your little house, whatever, your little tree house thing.
Oh, okay.
Which obviously is in the village, so it's separate.
Actually, which one was it that we looked at?
You probably
I would have said that was Ocarina.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really cool that there's alternate builds. And it has it has Navi, and it has a Sculptula and all the stuff. But obviously it has all the Koroks for the Breath of the Wild version. So yeah, I'd build it one way first, and then every so often, every year, rebuild it the other way.
Go for a rebuild on it.
Yeah.
Go for a dust and rebuild. That's
well,
what you need with
Lego.
Lego.
I suppose that's a benefit of it, right?
Exactly.
If you can change it, it will actually go through a clean process.
Yeah, clean all the bits as you redo it. And you could still display the minifigs from the other variant, obviously. Yeah, looks awesome. I don't know if they'll do more Zelda ones, but they hit it out of the park with the first one.
Oh yes, we definitely looked at the Ocarina ones, because there you go, just showing Zach the Breath of the Wild variant.
Oh right, I see.
It looks really nice, the Breath of the Wild one with the blossom style, and it is quite a different face for the Deku Tree, as it should be, because it does look is styled quite differently in the game.
It's weird. I'm sure the shot we saw of the Ocarina one had more trees.
Well, those are probably the extra bits.
Yeah. Had more surrounding trees, but
Yeah,
now
it's
we're
like
looking
the
at
Breath
the
of the
official
Wild one
art.
has the surrounding trees, right? And then the
Yeah.
Ocarina one uses the
greenery on
foliage
top.
on the top. Yeah.
Oh, but you do get to make those snappy plants.
Yep, which is really cool. But you get Hetsu in the Breath of the Wild one, and you get for some reason the Deku Tree sprout right from after Deku Tree is dead.
right, yeah.
For adult Link, and a little specially molded Ocarina of Time, which is awesome.
Neat. Yeah, this is pretty rad.
Yeah, it's freaking rad.
Here, go spend some money.
Exactly. Shut up and take my money. And it has hefty Nintendo tax, I think, for us. It's probably
Nintendo and Lego tax.
Oh,
Combine
boy.
those together.
The worst
yeah,
tax.
exactly.
The worst tax in the world, probably.
I mean, there's it is noticeable that the licensed Lego is more expensive than the non-licensed
Sure.
for a given amount size of set. But I mean, it's totally legit in this case.
Is this like the one good use of licensed properties?
What, Lego?
Lego.
Yeah,
It's the best. Yeah.
I mean, it does increase. I think it legitimately does increase the wantability of Lego.
For sure.
At least at our age. Maybe it's not true of like.
No,
kids, but-
But kids can get the normal Lego.
I'm too old school. I want generic Space Police. That was my thing.
Okay, Space Police
Yeah,
was
but
cool.
they do some of that stuff. Not a lot, but they do. They've done new versions of the 70s space stuff. So maybe it'll move on to
I think ever since the video games
90s
started kicking off in Lego Star Wars and all
Right,
that
yeah.
stuff, I think they suddenly realized that it's like, oh, man, people do like.
Also,
properties
they're doing giant castle sets and pirate sets.
It's the Fortnite of the brick world.
Yeah.
That's what the Lego movie was.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to do a Fortnite film?
Probably.
Yeah, eventually, surely.
Inevitably, because it will make money.
Question is, who's Jack Black going to play?
Yeah.
You better be in that thing. Any film is immediately better with the presence of Jack Black. Any game is better with the presence of Jack Black. The blackening is coming.
I do think I am very concerned about the Zelda live action movie. I don't think that's a good idea, but I mean, we'll see.
Is it live action?
I mean, that's what we've been assuming.
Right.
I don't know. Just because you did a good job ish with Mario.
I really hope it's like. I hope it's like the old Japanese NES ad for the Legend of Zelda, where they all just sort of save the day and then all dance.
Great. I mean, that's basically what happens at the end of Ocarina. Everyone just dances.
Yeah, literally.
I guess. Yeah.
Their Star Wars party.
Bum, 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 ba, ba.
Right, so
Oh.
that is a form of gaming news, but should we get into the gaming news proper?
I guess we could.
Not that there's much.
I mean, PlayStation have technically jumped the gun on Summer Game Fest.
And then no one cared.
I mean, they did explicitly, they called it out as a state of play. It's not their showcase, and they have followed up by saying, no, we're still going to do more over the summer.
All right, okay.
So it's not their big E3 replacement event, which makes the timing of it even weirder, right? Like, why
is it
even
so
do
close?
this?
And if you were going to do it now, why not just do the big one now and get ahead of everyone?
Yeah, given that there's actually 2 first-party announcements in this, or of some note.
Oh, some note,
Arguable note, yeah. So let's talk about how they open the show first. So I think it was a year ago we got our first teaser trailer for a game called Concord, which somewhat confusingly just seemed to show the interior of a spaceship. Right, there was a sandwich. I think there was another sandwich. I think it was like a similar sort of looking sandwich to.
The only thing I can almost see is Starfield now. It's just like you're talking about a spaceship and a sandwich. It's like, yeah, that's Bethesda.
I mean, but this was the thing. That was the whole thing, right? Like there's this Concorde trailer, even though it was like only showing like little stills and like effectively like still life shots inside this spaceship.
Like Starfield did.
It was pretty similar, yeah. So I thought this was going to be Sony's Starfield. It is not that. Not even close.
It's Sony's Overwatch?
It is Sony's Overwatch, yeah. But if you really wanted your Overwatch to be more like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to lie, their little vignette, as they called it, the 5-minute-ish sort of CG animated intro, very Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. Not bad, have to say. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they were trying to go for it.
It feels very derivative as like even in terms of all the characters, right? You've got that green lizard guy called Lennox, who's basically Star-Lord. Yep. You've got the lady who's basically Gamora. I don't know her game name. Yep. You've got the Drax equivalent who's called Starchild, and the dumb tree who actually can talk in this one, and is a robot called One-Off. It's very reminiscent. And then you go into it and I'm like, okay, no, that's fine. I'm watching this trailer and I'm thinking, yeah, it could be... I liked the Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out a couple years back. Like, I had a good time with that. I could be in for a nice single-player experience. It's like, oh, God, you've just made Overwatch. and it looks like you've done nothing innovative.
So, like, it's going to be, like... PlayStation All-Stars, and then no one's going to play it after like a month.
I mean, yeah, maybe. The thing is like, if I'm trying to be generous to Concorde, like you could argue that there is room for it because Overwatch 2 is
exactly
dying.
Yeah, because they pooped all over Overwatch 1. Like there is actual legitimate space. For a good hero.
But it's a really old space at this point. Like, that's why there's space, because we're past that.
Maybe, yeah. That's the other argument, is do people care about the hero shooter anymore? And
problem is we're past everything. Some things have to come back around, I guess.
Yeah.
But in that case, I don't think it's been long enough.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have the same... I mean, Kyle Bosman described it as charisma. Like the Concorde doesn't have the charisma of an Overwatch.
Exactly like PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah.
So the uncharismatic
really know until you play it, I guess, because like in terms of the stuff around it, it seems like derivative, but fine, I guess.
Yeah. So the one unique thing they're doing that seems to suggest that. I don't even know how to describe it. Like the unique thing they're doing is, I guess it's to reward players who are in from the start and stay with it through the seasons or whatever. Is that they've committed to saying they're going to do a new story, a story vignette every week. So what I guess all that means is like there will be a video or a cutscene that you can watch, and a new one of those every week. And it's like, if they're going to plan to keep that up consistently, that is a lot of work.
Yeah, that's probably not going to last long either.
That's that seems unlikely, or an awful lot of planning to keep going.
Yeah,
I mean, sure, it's a hook. Don't get me wrong, but if the quality of them is good,
it's not a hook when it's going to be uploaded to YouTube after about 2 minutes. Even though Sony is well known for being extremely ban happy on YouTube.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, like, maybe you can discipline yourself and have that carrot on the stick, especially if it's something you actually have to work for or unlock. And it's like, hey, you unlocked the next movie chapter, which in fairness is kind of the model of Exoprimal, right, which I really quite liked.
But that was also gameplay rather than in that game.
Yeah, you got special, the number of missions you had access to expanded as you played through that thing. Man, Exoprimal
it was really just like a normal video game is what we're saying. It had normal video game progress where you get a cutscene and then some new mechanics.
Sort of, yeah. But in a multiplayer game, which is kind of unique in its own little well, not unique, but it was well done in Exoprimal. So, but I'm not. It's not what they're doing here. Like it does sound like that it's just a bit of story that you're going to get access to, and you could watch it.
I mean, really, that just sounds more like what you would do for when you're releasing a new character, like in Overwatch. Like you do the character's story trailer or whatever. That gives you a little bit of their backstory.
Introducing the spy.
Yeah, exactly.
Meet the spy, sorry.
TF2 did it first, as always.
Yeah, TF2 do it first. Yeah.
And did it pretty much unbeatably well.
Mm.
I still watch those introducing videos.
Oh, they're brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. And they did them pretty far apart, right? Like some of them like years later.
I think they saved some of them until that character's specific update pass came.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And those were quite a long way apart as well back then. So I
think I watched Meet the Sniper the other day. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, they're all good. Nice savage. Yeah, so they're doing that. So, I mean, I guess they're banking a little bit on. I'll give them some leeway because Helldivers 2, right? Live service game, and it's doing pretty well.
But that's not Sony, though.
It's Sony published.
It's Sony published. That doesn't mean it's anything to do with Sony, basically.
I mean, well, it sort of does. Sony own it. And
sure, but not that they have any influence on it necessarily.
Well, they do. They definitely do in Helldivers' case.
But only bad influence so far.
Apparently so, yeah. Whereas, I guess you could argue Concord is more Sony then because they've formed a team for this.
Yeah,
it's a new studio that Sony have put together. As they're closing other studios, maybe it's made. No, I mean, no, it can't have been made from the remnants of the other teams, but timing doesn't work out. But it's. But if you think about Sony, you've got a lot of these going on as well, right? Don't forget Bungie are supposedly making one of these as well, whatever Marathon turns out to be.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Also, Sony do a lot of good first party single player stuff too, but maybe it feels maybe they're leaning a little too hard into live service. I don't know. They did at least say that Concord is also coming to PC, which I think would be an essential for this thing to stay alive, right?
Well,
it would have to be day and date.
Well,
no delays this time.
Assuming it has crossplay, which most Sony games don't.
It would have to. It would absolutely have to.
I thought. Oh no,
because Helldivers does.
Does it? Are you sure about that?
Pretty certain. I don't play it, so I don't. I guess I don't know, but I'm pretty certain it's crossplay.
Because you remember that, the whole drama was about how you could play it without a PSN account, and I would assume in order for it to be crossplay, you would need a PSN account for it to see the PlayStation Network.
I mean, maybe, yeah. Well, it depends. If they would have, there's plenty of ways around that, right?
Yes,
you implement your own system,
backends.
Yeah. The Epic system, as it now is, after they stole it off Rocket League or Rocket League borrowed it. I can never remember which way around that was, but. So there's that. But it's not the only hero shooter in town. We got Marvel. I think we knew about this a while ago, but Marvel Rivals had a little showing here, and that to me is what if you wanted your hero shooter to be filled with more heroes, but look a little less good, right? A little less polished. I mean, in some ways, it doesn't look like a bad game. It was a pretty bad trailer, but
I mean, it sort of looks more fun than freaking Kill the Justice League or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely looks more fun than that. So that showed up. I'm only putting that I'm only mentioning it because it was quite funny seeing Concord and then seeing this. It's in the same show. It's 2 hero shooters. Huh, that's weird. God of War Ragnarok. I can't say it. God of War Ragnarok is coming to PC.
Yep, expected.
Yep, it's just carrying on. I guess is it the right sort of? Are they catching up? I guess is the question.
Well, they're catching up with their releases.
Yeah,
maybe.
Because what's left after that? Spider-Man 2, and that's about it.
Yeah, I guess.
Did Last of Us 2 come to PC yet?
I don't know.
The first one did.
I think it did, didn't it?
The first one definitely did. I don't know if part 2 did yet. Anyway, yeah. So Ragnarok's coming to PC. Looks good. They've done all they're putting effort into it. Unlocked frame rates, super wide support, whole bunch of additions and benefits to running it on PC. Great, good news. The weird sort of like follow up to this is like there was a tiny little news snippet that said Sony is hoping that their releases on PC help drive PS5 sales. I guess for the people that really can't wait to play the next installment of games like that. And a bit of me is just like, no, they waited for the PC version because PC Master Race.
Because they already have a PC. Probably.
Yeah, and they would probably want a good PC to run those games well anyway, right? Like
they waited for a PC release because they like us don't care about Sony that much.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's nice to be able to play a Sony game on not a Sony system.
On not a Sony system, yeah. I really don't think that's a thing, Sony. I don't think that's going to work that way round. It's like I'd like a PS5 so I could play it on my TV in the room, not because
you're bound to the idea of a PS5.
Exactly, yeah. Put your games out on Xbox, I'd get them there. It's that whole argument. So there's that. They're making another Dynasty Warriors game, which I'm only mentioning because of us, right?
Aren't they 100% always working on another Dynasty Warriors game just like Yakuza?
Yeah, Dynasty Warriors Origins this time, so I guess it's a prequel to the whole saga.
Because they decided that their numbers had got too high. The classic reasoning.
Yeah, there is no
number.
What
were they at, like 11 or something?
Yeah, it was something high. But despite us playing a couple of Warriors adjacent games in the Zelda universe, we've never actually played a proper Warriors game. So I think there is one of the spin-off Warriors franchises on Xbox that you can play on Game Pass. So maybe we should give that a go at some point.
I think we need to. I think we've experienced exactly enough of...
Do you think we've experienced the entirety of Dynasty Warriors, like through Zelda, or...
Well, through Hyrule Warriors specifically, not Age of Calamity, because that one, as we said at the time, it's like, this is different and therefore better because Nintendo got involved.
Yeah, but I wonder if the more recent, like...
You wonder if they backported any of that. Yeah,
like base level Dynasty Warriors have more innovation than what we necessarily saw in Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. So
I mean, all I know about the more recent Dynasty Warriors is people were well pissed, but I don't know whether that was one of the ones that was after Age of Calamity or just before Age of Calamity. That was the last. I think it was around the same. I
think it was around the same time, right? The last proper Dynasty Warriors game. Yeah. So I don't know. But obviously, the best news from the State of Play is that there's a new standalone Astrobot game coming. Clearly, the best news.
Clearly, because we've somehow accidentally made a mascot character.
Pretty much, yeah. But everyone loves those Astrobot games, right? So, like the VR one, the PS5 intro one.
It's true.
They absolutely should have made a new one, and they have. And
it's just weird that the introduction to the PS5 hardware game ended up being one of the best games ever fucking released for the console.
Sure.
It's like, come on, make more games.
And they're not exactly shying away from that aesthetic here, right? You fly in on a DualSense controller, like there's a giant PS5 spaceship you need to repair or something. As part of the game, and they're doing the whole first-party crossover thing. So you meet robot versions of all PlayStation characters. Woo!
Right? Yeah.
So I guess they're not going into the various parts of a PS5 this time. They actually have to go into the various games of a PS5. But and I think they showed way too much in the trailer. It seems like that game's not that. Yeah, I think you're gonna have that problem potentially with Astrobot because there were. I wouldn't say it was a super long trailer, but there was an awful lot of quick cuts, and that meant they could show an awful lot. I think they probably showed every boss that game has.
Right, in the trailer.
In the trailer, so that's a bit concerning. That said, I haven't played an Astrobot game. I feel like I should, because the trailer looked good. And it's just called Astrobot. No subtitle or anything this time. It's just Astrobot.
Because that's an actual game and not just a tech demo, basically.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Nice.
And that's what I pulled out of the state of play. There were other things, but that's the most interesting stuff to me. In other news, talking about hero shooters, the worst kept secret from out of Valve is that they're making a game. Turns out that game is a hero shooter, and it's been trademarked as Deadlock. As I say, I think the internet kind of knew most of this before, thanks to leaks and stuff. But now it's kind of confirmed, apart from the announcement.
So this is their basically follow-up to TF2, I guess, in that sense.
I mean, I guess, yeah. But if TF2 was more Overwatchy,
well, if TF2 was Dota,
well, yeah. So apparently that's part of it, right? That's like. It will have mobs that are swarming. There are lanes. It's kind of like what Super Monday Night Combat was.
Yeah.
Right. Less like the original Monday Night Combat.
And Smite.
And Smite. Yeah, Smite is very much that as well. To the point where it's a little bit like, why didn't they just Dota this?
Yes. Why is this not a Dota spin-off, basically?
Yeah.
I mean, it still could be.
I mean, maybe it is, yeah, and we just have it. Maybe the character, all the stuff they've shown are unique characters added to this, but they're planning on bringing
all the other characters back. Yeah,
it's like an endless content fountain. They wouldn't really like bring them all at once, right? Because there's like too many. So they at least they would have an awful lot to pull from.
Yeah, I guess it depends how much work it takes to invent the new suitable power set for this game
in an FPS.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty hard, right? Probably quite a lot of work. Yeah, I don't know. Valve's at the point where I think it's hard to get excited about what they do. Like, yes, it's been a long time since they've put something out, and theoretically,
we
the last
don't care
thing,
about Dota. That's why.
Well, not just that, but like the last thing they put out was Half-Life Alyx, which is considered like the benchmark for VR, right? So clearly that was great, but for whatever reason, I guess because it's VR, it's kind of hard to feel excited about that game.
Well, yeah, obviously, because most people can't play it.
And then their previous project was, well, aside from Dota, which they kind of bought in, Dota 2, right?
Yes.
The other project they were working on was that ill-fated card game spin-off from Dota. Was it from Dota or was it separate? I can't remember.
If it wasn't a direct spin-off of Dota, it felt like it.
Yeah. Called Artifact, that died before it even really became a thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, literally, if you ignore the VR game, which not everyone can play, then pretty much the last games they put out have been Dota and another Dota, and then this one is more Dota. Like,
I don't think you can even count
Counter-Strike, I suppose.
Counter-Strike is obviously the...
But that's just a remake.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, you can't really count Dota in a weird way. Like, Valve own it and they've maintained it, but it's yeah, it's not their game, really. It's not Portal 2. Which is probably the last actual game.
But it kind of is, though, right? Because they bought Portal as well, technically. So, like, if you compare Dota and Dota 2 and to Portal and Portal 2, it's almost kind of the same thing.
They bought TF2 and Counter-Strike. They bought everything, didn't they?
Yeah, but then they valved those later. Dota 2 was already a thing before
it's a bit more leaning towards that end rather than...
Yeah, Dota was already a thing before it got valved.
But, you know, only get excited about a Valve trademark if it has the number 3 in
it. Yeah. Never going to happen.
Put a 3 in this game. Have Eevee a 3 just to piss everyone off.
Oh, yeah. D3 clock.
For no reason. Just put it in there. Just so you can say that you released a game with a 3 in it.
Left 4 Dead 3.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone knows it's Left 4 Dead. So they just randomly make it free player.
Yeah. So it's only free player mode, but Left 4 Dead. That'd be pretty funny if it was actually a prequel as well.
I mean, I suppose there's opportunities to do that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Not that there's a real, apart from where they made it explicit, there was no real need for a timeline that linked Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2.
Sure.
But they did it eventually.
Yeah. And finally, we now know there is another Doom game in the works.
Also not very surprising.
Not super surprising, no, but I guess that's what id of working on right now. And the twist this time is it's medieval themed, and it's called Doom: The Dark Ages. So I assume Doom Guy has been sent back in time to Quake.
Maybe.
But then Quake is kind of with that weird modern day medieval mix, right? Quake is weird, but they should probably try and bring those two universes together, because who cares about Quake? Put it in Doom, and then it's just all Doom then.
Yeah, but Doom is I feel like Quake is always Quake is more like actual different directions, whereas Doom is everyone thinks it's a different direction, and it's just hell.
Yeah, it's just hell. Yeah,
which just happens to be a different direction. I don't know. I don't even know if you could actually cross those two. I don't think you could consolidate that lore very easily.
Does it get too big? Like a sort of Marvel multiverse.
Well, but Doom is already big now, since they as soon as they made it explicitly, it's just heaven and hell and all that stuff, rather than just being, oh, you're fighting demons for unspecified reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably went too deep on the Eternal lore. Yeah. I mean, that was my problem when I think when I went through that game the first time, it's they went a bit too heavy and they're Doom Guy don't care. No, Doom Guy has epic backstory now.
Yeah. I mean, that's also that's funny in the context of that game, where obviously Doom Guy doesn't give a shit about his lore at all.
No.
But that doesn't work going forwards. No. You can't have every game have an epic story where the main character is just fuck this shit.
I mean, that is Duke Nukem.
Not in the same way.
I mean, I hope it's good. There's nothing wrong with it, a bit of medieval theming. I like Quake, but I
mean, it depends what it depends what that implies for gameplay.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll play exactly like all the other recent.
I'm sure
games.
For whatever reason there will be some high tech guns hanging out. Yeah. I mean, unless it's plays like Chivalry, it's an entirely melee.
Yeah,
focused.
That was the only other thing I was thinking. Make a weird melee Doom, but I'm not sure.
That would be wild.
They should have just called it Hex and Beyond Heretic or something.
Oh my god! Yes,
combine those universes,
or just make a Hexen game, but Doom style. Man, make a Hexen game.
I mean, maybe that's what this is.
I don't really remember. Did I play Hexen? I don't even know. I think I saw a lot of it, but never actually played it myself. Make a Hexen game. That's it for news. Unless Zach's got some surprise extras this week.
No.
All right.
That's the news. It's time for what you've been playing. What have you been playing? Zach, what have you been playing?
Well, this is also not going to be not much news, not much that I've been playing, because pretty much only Vintage Story again. And we still haven't got that much further, but we've been. Well, this is one of those division of labour problems where basically I just make food. My job is to keep us alive.
You're the food man, the farmer.
Yeah, kind of. I'm growing all the crops and, I'm, laying out the farms and getting the animals and making the actual food. And then in the other half of the building, it's this is the forge area where all the metalwork happens, but I'm not involved in that. But that's because, the extra mods we've added since last time we played are, starting to verge into, tech, where it's now you need all this metal to actually, make metal machines, which I feel is, it's because this game is obviously similar to Minecraft because it was a Minecraft mod at some point. But when you have in Minecraft, you have Industrial Craft, the classic industry mod for Minecraft, where you're building these machines and electricity and all that stuff. And it's that fits better in Minecraft than it does in Vintage Story, even though it doesn't seem like there's any difference between those two things. It's just because Vintage Story leans much more heavily into like the medieval survival aspect of it.
Right.
Where like it's actually the gameplay is that rather than in Minecraft where there is like survival is almost not gameplay at all in Minecraft. Like you can grow crops in a farm in Minecraft, but like it's not difficult. There's no real mechanics to it. I mean, I guess there's not really that much different in the mechanics in Vintage Story, but it's not as like critical to your survival as it is in Vintage Story. I guess you do still technically starve in Minecraft, but then also in Minecraft, you can just die at any point and that's fine, you just respawn.
Sure.
Whereas in Vintage Story, there's actually a penalty to that.
Okay. Is it meaningful penalty or is it?
Well, it's because of the nutrition thing in Vintage Story where like you have to eat different kinds of food to get your nutrition stats up.
Right.
When you die, it just like halves out all of your nutrition
I see.
when you respawn. And that has a direct effect on your health points.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, it's basically, this might as well be the Industrial Craft mod for Vintage Craft. It has very similar like buildings, like the building where you put ore in it and it gives you more... like processing the ore makes you get a higher output rather than using it directly or whatever. It's got that. It's got some steam engines and stuff like that, which seems, getting a little too high tech for Vintage Story, I feel, but I don't know how far it actually goes. I haven't really looked into it because obviously I'm not doing that. I'm just supplying the food.
We're just a lowly farmer.
But we're running...
And the mod didn't add any like high tech food tech.
Well, that's one of the other mods that we had to remove last time we played because it was like too much stress on our systems at the time.
Oh, right.
But like now we've got it in like the expanded food mod. But the trouble with the expanded food mod is it's simultaneously like overpowered and like not, and still doesn't outweigh the like vanilla stuff. Because like it's overpowered in that certain. Well, the one of the problems with it is that a lot of the new types of like processed food last too long. Because like the whole point of the food system in Vintage Story is like everything is decaying.
Right.
So you have to prepare for the winter by like building up your stocks or whatever and sealing jars to preserve them for longer.
Pickles.
Yeah, and pickles and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff that the expanded food mods add just lasts like several years by default.
Oh, okay.
So it almost removes that pressure.
And is it food that should last several years?
I mean, like, sort of, arguably.
Like, are you making cans?
Well, not in that way, but like it's like you have fruit which decays pretty quickly.
Sure.
You can in the vanilla you can squeeze that into juice which lasts longer, but like still not like a year. So you can, and it gives you less fruit saturation per fruit or whatever. You're losing some amount of the fruitness.
You're losing some nutrition.
Yeah. But then in the mod, you can then boil the fruit juice down into syrup, which I haven't looked at the ratios enough to know whether like how much fruit you lose out of that. But it also makes it last like 25 years. So
wow.
Regardless of like how much you lose, it's still just you're basically got an infinite source of fruit.
Is that true of like
probably
golden
not.
Syrup? Like how long does that? I mean, assuming it's not exposed to insects, does that last safely for? I mean, that must last a while.
Yeah, probably not 25 years, but
well, maybe not. But
probably a number of years.
Does it go off at all?
Well, it's not like honey. I mean, even in Vintage Story, honey doesn't go off.
I mean, I feel like honey should go off more than syrup.
No,
honey famously doesn't go off at all.
Yeah,
right?
honey is well known for never expiring.
Oh, all right. I shouldn't have thrown that honey out.
For some unknown reason.
I guess I shouldn't have thrown that honey out the other week.
Apparently you could somebody dug up some Roman honey and ate it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's brave. Well, that's only that story doesn't. You need the other half of the story where and then what happened?
Yeah.
You can eat anything at a certain point.
Okay, that's true.
I mean, you're putting some faith in the fact that wasn't contaminated honey, right?
What if it had something mixed into it that did go off?
I mean, I guess that's
the thing about it, isn't it? It's it kills.
Yes, it's meant to kill all the germs, even if you put stuff in with it.
That's why it lasts.
Why isn't every medicine just honey?
I mean,
I don't think
people have tried.
It doesn't quite work like that.
just kills everything.
That would be a very Donald Trump
Including
style.
the host,
Like,
Inject honey.
things. Yeah, just light up your insides with honey.
Just take some sort of honey grenade.
But yeah, so that's one of the problems with the expanded food. And then the other thing is that, like, you have these fancier meals you can make. You have like a special mixing pot that has 6 slots for ingredients, whereas the regular cooking pot from vanilla only has 4 slots. So you can do fancier meals, and because they have more ingredients, they're more nutritious. And that's fine. And those meals work on a slightly weird system where normally when you cook a meal, it basically sort of averages the expiry time of all the ingredients, but then resets it. So it, like, normally when you cook a meal, it's always going to last approximately the same amount, regardless of how fresh the ingredients are, unless the ingredients are like really super on the verge of going off,
right,
or already partially rotten or whatever. Whereas in the mod, it tracks the ingredients sort of individually. So if you make a salad or whatever, the vegetables go off quicker because they're vegetables. And that then makes the whole dish go off, basically.
Okay. That sort of makes sense.
So that sort of makes sense. And that's fine. But then the trouble is that the new cooking recipes, apart from the new cooking recipes we currently have access to are great if you just want to have like this super filling meal on like literally one day. Like, I can make a salad that fills up your entire nutrition bar in one go and gives you like all 4 categories of nutrition or whatever by mixing in various other ingredients. And that's great, but it doesn't preserve.
Has it got a pork pie in it?
It has breaded meatballs, basically.
Breaded meatballs. Okay, that sounds pretty good.
But like,
it's kind of the rule. It's like I will eat a salad as long as there's a pork pie or a Scotch egg on the side. Yeah.
And then, like, that's fine, but that doesn't preserve. And none of the other mod meals we have access to are really preservable. So in long-term food, we're still just making pies from vanilla. They are slightly modified by the mod because the mod finally allows you to put different ingredients in the same pie.
Oh, okay.
So you can have not just meat pies. You can
have a steak and ale pie.
Yeah, basically.
Sweet.
So that's nice. But then that just makes the pies even more overpowered.
Right, yeah.
Because now you can have a pie that fills all the nutrition categories. So yeah, I've mostly just been making pies, and it's kind of disappointing because it's like there's all these other options, but none of them are as good as pies for being preserved and also good nutrition.
Pies forever.
You can even, I've even started getting. I mean, I've even slightly made advanced pies now. Pies with actual gelatin, like a pork pie.
Talking about food.
Yeah.
I was at the Cambridge Beer Fest last weekend.
And, That's not food, but okay.
But there was food involved because for the first time in, I think, I can't even remember how long, I had a kebab. Right.
Well, appropriate, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. But like, normally I don't have like the traditional ass doner kebab, right? I have like some other variant, like a kofta, or not even. I think it's pronounced kofta, or kofti. It looks like kofti on the board. I don't know, but I normally have that instead. But no, I went in on this thing. Like it was, I think they called it like the king kebab or something because it had like
far too much meat on it.
it had a lot of meat on it. It had a lot of doner meat and chicken as well. It had some really quite nice marinated chicken. Like it didn't seem like it was the sort of like chicken that they have hanging up, right? It was too nice for that. But I gotta say, this kebab, very good.
It didn't kill you.
No, well, it didn't have the problem that I normally have with like lamb-based products in general, which is like the lamb fat is evil.
Okay,
right? It's just like you get left with that. It's a very lingering sensation and taste, lamb fat. Like it just stays on your palate for forever. Woe betide you get it on your hands if you're hand making lamb burgers or something. That smell don't come out for days. This didn't have any of that. It just tasted like lamb, but didn't have the horrible fatty like afterburn, I suppose, that ruined the subsequent beers. Like, okay. Shout out to whoever you guys were at Cambridge Beer Fest. That was a damn fine kebab. There you go, on food. A good kebab. How about you?
Apart from that, in Industry, that's like we're getting to the same point we were at last time, where we're at basically about to start making steel, and we don't have the right resource for it, because that's Vintage Story's problem. We're like, we need one specific kind of rock, which means we just have to explore the world until we find that one specific kind of rock, or find teleporters to like jump around the world. We've found one so far, and that did not give us the rocks we needed. It was like, this area sucks. This area is completely useless to us.
The teleporters are at least 2-way, so it'd be funny if they weren't.
Yes, they are 2-way. But yeah, we're at that. We seem to be rapidly approaching that point again, which is going to be annoying, because that might kill us playing it again. That is the problem with Vintage Stories world generation. It's like, it's very nice and like kind of realistic, where like the rock layers and everything, because you can sometimes, if you're looking at the like overall view of the map or whatever, you can sometimes see how like the rock layers are like real geology slanted, where you can see like the top rock layer fades away, and then the rock layer that was underneath it becomes the top as you move across the landscape. So it's actually kind of nice and realistic in that way, but then there are certain things that you need very specific rock types to do. Like, you need limestone to get lime to do leatherworking, and you need bauxite to make refractory bricks to do steel making. So like, you need these very specific types of rock that may or may not appear for thousands of blocks in any direction, or at all if you're incredibly unlucky. So yeah, at this point I feel like we're going to be hunting for teleporters, and I don't know how long we'll be able to maintain that enthusiasm.
Right, yeah.
When you're just exploring the world and not making progress.
Not really gaining, yeah. You just need to find the right thing somewhere. And it could be anywhere.
Yep. I feel like that's why the teleporters are there, because you just get to move like several thousand blocks instantly in a random direction.
But not randomly.
Well, kind of randomly.
Oh, right.
I mean, I think they're like,
just go to another teleporter point.
Yes, it's 2 linked teleporters.
Okay.
But I assume it mainly works as like away from spawn. So like,
oh, okay.
You're going to probably go further away from where you started, basically.
Right. Yeah, assuming
you hang around at spawn or vaguely near spawn when you actually build your base or whatever, which you're quite likely to do. Although in this world, we changed the world generation to like have a higher amount of water, so there's like oceans, which I'm not sure is actually good for that game, really.
Well, it's not if there's an island out in the ocean somewhere.
Well, the trouble is, because of the way caves generate from the surface, and I believe the teleporters are more likely to be at like only slightly underground. So if you have less land coverage to have cave spawn, to have teleporters spawn, I think we might have the struggle of finding any more. Like, because we're on this island.
It doesn't just fit the telly somewhere and it can. It just, like, you just get less of them.
Well, that's what I'm assuming. Because, like, the seabed kind of takes over the surface of the land, I guess, under the ocean. And obviously you can't just walk into it in the way you can with surface caves normally on an island. And it also distorts all the underground geometry as well. Right. Like, because obviously the rock layers follow the curve of the ocean bed. So essentially the surface becomes the bottom almost.
Oh, I see.
As it gets forced under the ocean.
You're not likely to just get a telly that just puts you in the underwater somewhere.
Well, not literally underwater, but you might be under the ocean bed, which would also suck. Because then there wouldn't be any reason to go to that teleporter if you were looking for something you wanted to find on the surface.
Yeah. Does it have like water physics in that if you like dug your way out? Like...
No, it has Minecraft water physics where like the water blocks flow like a certain distance away, but it doesn't like fill space or anything.
Right. So if you happen to like tally into one of these caves, you couldn't fill the cave.
No, or not without accidentally like destroying the whole roof or whatever and having all the water fall downwards. Because water drops an infinite distance or whatever, in the same way as Minecraft. It is a bit weird in that way. But you can understand that the like processing power needed to propagate water realistically would be way too much.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's finished story. That's more or less all I've been doing, apart from some amount of Rocket League. Nearly the end of the season, and I had totally forgotten whether I even had the champion rewards, and apparently I do.
Right. Okay,
So I was like, okay, I'm not champion at the moment. Been having a real lemon run as usual, as is traditional, going on the bottom end of my sine curve or whatever. Some particularly bad ones in the last session as well.
Oh no!
It's quite a shit night. Wasn't even Thursday.
It wasn't even 11th Thursday.
I think there was something weird about. Oh, I guess we haven't talked about it because not talking about Rocket League in general, but like this next upcoming season seems to be related to the beach again, which I guess makes sense. It's summer.
Yeah,
but I'm really hoping they're not going to do what they've done in the last couple of updates, which is like, if you thought making a new map that's just a square but with a different aesthetic was lazy, the last couple of updates have been super lazy because all they've done is put grass on the maps that already exist, like Wasteland with grass and the Farmyard with grass.
Right.
It's like, that's not even, you're not even making a new aesthetic at that point.
I don't know. Why?
I don't know. It's like... I guess it's like if you imagine the world of Rocket League as like, now these are pro grade stadiums where they've actually got grass now.
They could like have. I guess I suppose you could just have infinite cool looking stadiums in that game, right? Like,
yeah.
Why, man? They clearly don't have much of a team working on it.
No, obviously.
Yeah.
Spending too much time on all this on the Rocket Pass shit to unlock.
Yeah.
And crossing it over into Fortnite.
Fortnite, yeah. That most of Silex are probably working on Fortnite in some capacity now.
So I'm wondering whether this next update is going to be the beach, but grass.
I mean, that would be particularly weird.
Yeah.
Just do another beach. But make it so you actually
But
play...
then again, the other, like, make another beach is also not that different from the current beach. Beaches are all kind of the same.
Could they do a Windjammers themed level? Like, make a Windjammers style game out of it as well.
Well, they're not going to do modes, as we've previously... If they're not doing different shaped arenas, they're also not going to do... I mean, arguably, you could say that the homing ball game mode was kind of like Windjammers.
Oh, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I suppose it is. It'd probably be harder actually not doing it like that.
Yeah. But yes, we'll see if it's just a beach with grass. Because, I mean, they did do... I suppose, like, the last one they did was actually the other version of Aquadome, but it's like Aquadome but shallow. It's like... It's
so the water's only like halfway up, or...?
No, it's still underwater, but it's like in the shallows, so you get a different environment with, like, kelp or whatever.
I mean, that's kind of interesting. That seems like it would take more work, right?
Yeah, more work.
To do a complete outside.
But it's still just pretty much an Aquadome map.
Sure.
The background is different, I suppose. But yes, that's
all you really want, though, from those arenas, right? Like...
That's the minimum that we want from those arenas. It's not all we want. Or not all I want, as we've said so many times.
Well,
bring back hexagons.
Bring back Rocket Labs. Yeah.
Bring back octagons. Bring back dumb, goofy maps.
Yeah, I liked the space base octagon. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the more tolerable ones if you didn't like the concept in general.
Yeah. Bring back Tokyo.
People hated Tokyo, though.
I mean, it was awkward, but it was quite fun.
Yes.
I mean, there should just always have been like a second, like the
yes,
ranked.
There should have been.
There should be the ranked playlist that's pure, and a ranked list that's
everything.
Like, yeah, do what you want.
And then it would
maybe even throw like the mixed mode, like Halo, I guess had once, and like it's mixed playlists, right, where it could literally throw you into anything.
And then it could have made the map voting system actually relevant at all.
Oh, right.
That whole thing that they put in where it's like you can choose to veto different maps. It's like, why would you? They're just backgrounds.
I mean, I guess it could get confusing for certain colour schemes.
It made sense when people had that problem with Aquadome and how like the ball highlighting didn't work correctly or whatever. Yeah. It's like veto Aquadome, but I bet most people, even probably who had vetoed Macrodome, have never turned that off because they forgot that they even did that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because no one ever remembers that system even exists, because who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing I wanted to mention about Rocket League, which comes from playing it this much, but like one session of Rocket League, I need to like take notes of how many times they take kickoff, because I feel like I get kickoff way too much.
Oh, really?
I don't like. Is it just because my name starts with a Z and then like I load in last or whatever, and like kickoff position is last alphabetically or something?
No, I always felt like I got kickoff like more.
Well, when we were playing together.
Well, not just that, but yeah, whether I'm doing that or whether I was doing, because I guess I did a lot of drop shot. That was the only other thing I did in.
Yeah, maybe the drop shot arrangement is different, obviously, because the drop shot kickoff is a different beast.
Yes.
But I feel like I'm taking kickoff more than 50% more than 1/3 of the time, I guess, in a free player team. And I don't know why. Mainly first kickoff, obviously, that's when it's most noticeable. But I feel like even after goals, I'm getting a higher than average amount of kickoffs.
Wonder why that is.
But that might just be a pure random perception thing, where it's like you don't notice when you're not taking kickoff or whatever.
Yeah.
So one of these days, I just need to like write it down and actually see. Not that sample size would even be enough to be, conclusive or anything.
You play enough Rocket League, I'm sure you could track it.
Well, then that's what I mean. It's like one session wouldn't be enough, probably, to get any conclusive data. It's almost like I need to go to one of those Rocket League stat tracking websites, but I bet they don't track kickoffs.
Unless the game does, I guess. But
well, you could maybe work it out from like first touch, right? Assuming you get the first touch.
Wow, yeah.
Which I usually do. Which is weird because
you don't do them.
Yeah, I don't do any of the fancy kickoff shit
stuff. Yeah,
and I still get first touch. It's because I think that's just because I use the like futuristic F1 car body, which is like long and flat.
Oh, right. So you think its hitbox is just a tiny bit longer?
Yeah, and I feel like that's why I often win kickoff in terms of like the ball going in a useful direction.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's just because everyone else obviously is just using an octane shaped body.
Sure,
I'm using this unusual body that just gives me a slight advantage on kickoff over that shape without having to do any of the fancy kickoff stuff.
You're not playing the van anymore, or
no? I really feel like it's just because the way I've been doing it up to this point is like in the new season I just make a new car, but then I haven't made a new car in a long time, and I've just been using that F1 shaped car. That was just the last one I did make, I guess, and that's my solo car now. Which is all of the cars that I use, because I only play solo and I don't play casual, which is where I'd use the van usually.
Right. Or in duos.
Yes.
Calling me casual. I see what you did there. I mean, it's bad, but
I didn't use the van when we were playing in twos. I used a separate car, the twos car. Sometimes I use the van.
I thought you always used the van.
Not always.
Yeah, your pizza van.
Not always. Sometimes I'd use a specific twos car. And the Dream Team cars. The long lost Dream Team cars.
Oh, the Dream Team cars, yes. Get my rose out and my hat.
The rally car.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't even have those any longer because of my account getting fucked up.
Oh, right.
Obviously, I could, if I wanted to, I could open up that save offline and look at them and import them that way. But I'd have to recreate them manually, obviously. But I just did that for my one car, the car that I was familiar, that I'd used. I think I also maybe did the van, but because obviously I've got to have the van. But that was the one car I was using. So and also at this point, I've probably adapted so much to that specific hitbox. Because I've used it for so long.
Sure, yeah.
And it's not one of the standard hitboxes, so even if I wanted to make another car that is that shape, you get a much more limited option. Because practically everything has that octane hitbox.
Batmobile?
I think Batmobile might be a similar but slightly different one. I think the Batmobile is even flatter and even longer.
That sort of sci-fi engined one that they did with the glowy wheels. So it went wah, 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 wah.
I don't remember it. Like, I think the other one that is definitely the same hitbox was another car that I used briefly. Where's my Merc car when they accidentally deleted the
Right.
Merc? That flat, like, almost Ferrari-looking thing with the inset wheels.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, I know the one.
I think that might be the same hitbox.
A lot of the cars were that shape, weren't they? Like the season cars.
For a while, but then, of course, because people only ever use octane-shaped hitboxes, now they're all octanes because they want them to be used.
Yeah.
Because they want people to buy the rocket bars.
Sure, yeah.
Another aspect of Rocket League's shapes that have gone away over time.
Yeah.
No differently shaped arenas, no differently shaped car hitboxes.
Too homogenized. Optimized, some might say, but
But, I'll show them about optimization at kickoff. I have this unusual hitbox, so I will win.
I'll show you Shakespeare.
So that's what I've been doing. Anyway, moving on.
Rob, what have you been doing?
Oh, hello. What have I been doing? Let's talk about the one I guess hangover from the last episode. I finished the first of the 2 Hellnoa games that were in that remaster.
Right.
It's not super long. It's like 13 levels in total. I think
Sonic game.
kinda. It was all right, is how I would describe it. I think it suffers a little bit from like old game difficulty in that it starts really easy at the start, and when I talked about it last time, and then the last level is an absolute arse. Like it's it's one of those sort of levels where it's like the difficulty suddenly ramps up, but it highlights the problems of this system, right? Like that landing on the platforms isn't always as precise as you would like it to be. Plenty of times where you just clip the edge of the platform and you noticeably see the character move to one side so they fall. He's just like, so it's like, you son of a bitch. And just the arrangement of the enemies, like on tiny platforms, can be quite irritating to work with. There was one bit in particular where I basically burnt through almost all my entire quite large life stash at that point, and just to try and pull this one section off, it was pretty tricky and pretty annoying. And the levels get longer as the game goes on as well. But it ultimately, I think it's fine. Like, I'm glad I played it. And I've got the second one now to look forward to, which is supposedly a little bit more expanded.
Hopefully better.
Hopefully a little bit better. Yeah. But I did the thing right because this remake doesn't have the cool thing you want from remakes, right? It doesn't have the push the button, see what it used to look like,
right?
So I went and had a little look at what Hellnoa looks like on PS1, and it's quite different because the characters aren't 3D modeled on the original PS1 version. They were all sprite work, which is interesting because it means when they were trying to do cutscenes and things like that, there were certain cutscenes where they would have had to have drawn a new sprite to fit the camera angle they were using and things like that. It's pretty neat to see, actually. So it makes it all the more annoying that you don't have that flip flop button to be like, it would have been cool to see what this looks like and play it like that. There's something about that sprite aesthetic I think kind of has a bit more charm, right? It has a little bit more flavor to it than it was a fairly bland, modern, like how you would do it nowadays kind of look, I guess, that this remake has. Also, the original has FMV sequences, like full motion video. For a couple of I think the first and last cutscenes are done as video sequences,
right?
Where they're all done in engine here, and they lose something in that transition. The FMV sequences definitely have way more character than the in-engine versions in this remake. So, negative points against remake. Negative points. Obviously, all the good stuff here is better. Like there's some tutorialization that isn't, and tips system that isn't in the original game. The UI is obviously nice and crisp now, rather than it was a bit like was it the Kirby games where there used to be a bar at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
So it had that going on in the PlayStation version, whereas now it's all sort of floating elements, which looks nicer. Yeah, ups and downs, I think, with this remake, let alone the game itself. I will get around to playing the second part. Oh, in fairness, I haven't completely finished Hellnoa 1 because I unlocked the extra vision, as they call it, the extra level. So I haven't played that yet. See what that is. Probably incredibly difficult.
Probably.
So yeah, aside from that, I've went back, still occasionally playing a little bit of Penny's Big Breakaway. I'm going back to that to try and go through some of the older levels to 100% them, effectively do all the jobs and find all the little pieces that you're supposed to, so I can unlock more of the Star Globe levels, which are like short little challenges. I've kind of given up on score running most of the levels. Like, I'll do it if I get close when I go to the score target on a run, and then I'll go, I think I can make that. I just need to improve my run a little bit. Then I'll go score target hunting. But on some of those Star Globe challenges, I was so far off the target, and it's just like, I have no idea how I'm ever going to get good enough to be able to do that. Like, it was a very hard challenge, and then somehow managing to keep the combo going during that challenge seems impossible. Penny's still a good game though. Still enjoy it. I did manage to glitch it a few times again, just proving that it's not a perfect experience. I did get stuck in a couple of places, or fell through the level in a couple of places. It's it could I hope they go back and add a little bit more polish to it in updates or something, just to clear up those moments, because they're just that little bit more frequent than I would like. But it's still a great game. Recommend. Right, let's talk new stuff we haven't talked about on this podcast before. Let's do the biggie. Hellblade 2 came out.
For real.
It came out.
One of the actually existing games.
Yeah. Microsoft put out a game. Microsoft put out a smaller game for prestige and awards.
Well, maybe.
It's bigger than I expected, honestly, in terms of length. Because I haven't quite finished it yet. I think I'm right at the end. But I haven't quite, I wasn't quite able to finish it off in time for the podcast. Man, this is going to be a hard game to try and describe. Because I quite like it, but also describing it as a full-on gaming experience is kind of tricky, because it is way more experiential than it is gameplay.
Right.
There's an awful lot of just walking.
Semi-walking simulator.
Yeah, listening to the voices in your head, seeing stuff in the environment, and solving pretty rudimentary puzzles. It's not super challenging until you get to the combat, and the combat is weirdly hyper visceral, and it can happen super suddenly and be it's all tranquil and stuff like that. Sudden ambush, boom, you're right in it, and it's super hardcore and super intense. Even though mechanically it's relatively simple, it follows the sort of pattern of, they've flashed red, so you're going to have to evade this, otherwise you're going to take a little bit of damage when you block it instead of being totally fine. Or you can block most normal quick attacks, and that's also fine. Or if you time your block perfectly, you get a parry, which lets you do lots of big damage to them. And that's kind of the entire system. There isn't really a huge amount more to it than that. You get a focus mirror at one point in the game, which I think was in the original as well, where if you build up enough charge, you can blow it, and you'll become faster than your opponent. Which, most of the time, if you use it at the right moment, that's you're going to kill that guy. So use those charges on the enemies you don't really want to face. And it does the really interesting thing that even though you might be in a sort of a maelstrom of people everywhere kind of fight, you are only ever doing one-on-ones. You're squared off against a specific opponent, and your only concern is that one guy, nothing else that's going on around you. which is kind of nice. It makes you feel in the moment and makes the sort of like, you know, you're not getting cheap shot from off camera or anything like that. It's the focus is cool, and the cinematic nature of the game means that they do try and futz with that every now and then. Like something will happen that like interrupts your fight, and now you're fighting a different person. Sometimes that's just because you've done enough damage to the guy you are fighting, but other times that feels a bit more fluid, like it just happened. It's kind of neat because, and that leads me on to the most obvious thing about this game. Holy hell, the presentation!
Right,
it is unbelievably gorgeous.
Yeah,
like it's basically the Matrix Awakens demo, but done in a game, right?
So this is like, this is where Unreal Engine 5 like really, it's here now.
Yeah, this is a full Unreal Engine 5 experience. This is Nanite, this is Luma, this is all of the technologies they've talked about. This is metahumans, you know, this is all of the technologies that Unreal 5 has been touting.
So obviously it takes massive like artistic effort to combine with that to make the amazing looking game. But will games just start looking really good because of this anyway? You know, you know, is this the tipping point thanks to this Unreal technology finally coming to fruition?
I mean, maybe.
With real games and not tech demos?
There's ups and downs to it, right? Because there will be a contingent out there that argues this is just an extended tech demo, right? Because of the way the game is, right? Like, it's,
I guess
it's got way more content, sure, than just a demo, but like it's.
There's nothing to stop you taking this and making a game.
No, I guess not.
More of a game.
I mean, if you were to be a little less glowing about it, you could put the argument that it's basically doing everything that UE5 is like demoed that it was good at, right? And it's sticking to that. It's doing rocks, which were like in that UE5 reveal trailer, right? It does lighting of rocks real well.
Yeah.
It does.
Rocks. To be fair, it always looks impressive. Like even back when it was the Battlefront DICE, you know, engine stuff, the rocks look real nice.
Right? Yeah. Oh yes, like when the
Frostbite.
Yeah, Frostbite, especially when they did it for. You're right. It was Battlefront, wasn't it? Yeah, the Hoth.
Yeah, it was like Tatooine or whatever, and it was like, whoa.
I mean,
those are some good-looking rocks.
Great under that engine as well, honestly.
Yeah.
It does that pretty well. And they play with the lighting here, and it's all the real time stuff really does benefit the look of this thing. It's got really gorgeous looking god rays and mist simulations that look superb and are used to great effect to make everything way moodier than they'd have any need to. You could argue that they're taking the kind of easy way out in the sense that, hey, Death Stranding made the world look like Iceland, right? And they're like, of course they're going to make it a bit Icelandic because it's a Norse-themed game, right? So it's like, it seems, I wonder if it is just easy to make that landscape look lovely. I don't know.
Well, it's because of the way, like, ground cover works, right? Where you're in that rocky environment. Like if you're making a grassy plain, that's like a completely different art style you have to go for almost.
Sure. I wonder if like draw distance isn't so much of a problem because there's so much rocky outcrops and stuff like that it can cover bits more. Like it's not completely devoid of pop-in. That engine is incredibly good at managing pop-in.
And from what I've seen,
but you do spot it occasionally.
What I've seen, I feel like the other main trick they're doing is like the way they constantly skip time around.
Yeah,
because it hides any like moving shadows and that kind of thing. Because they're not actually it's not actually real time moving. It's moving when they choose it to move.
Yeah, so it's like they go for the one shot aesthetic a bit with this, but they kind of fudge it a bit when they do scene transitions, but they do it by panning the camera up to the sky, passing time really quickly whilst they're doing that, and then you sort of fade into the clouds and come out at a different location, right? And then it pans down and then flies over the landscape for a while, and then you catch up with the characters.
Yeah.
They do that like 5 or 6 times throughout the course of the game. So yeah, that pan up to the sky, I guess, hides anything that's going on down below.
Well, and even just within the context of the single sequence, like the bit that I was watching you do, where it's like you have one day to do this thing, but you're going to see that whole day, but like in like step chunks as you move through little, basically loading pauses, but they're not actual loading pauses.
Sure. So you might go into a cave
and adjust the time of day during that moment.
It does sometimes do the thing where you go into a cave and you come out, and obviously the lighting has changed whilst you're in the cave. But sometimes they do it way more subtly in that the time of day will change as you're walking forward, and it's tied to your position, so you can stop walking and the time of day will stop changing, and then you can walk back, but it will stay at that, like it won't change back in time, like it will move forward.
Sometimes the sky will like undo itself as you move backwards.
There was one moment where the sky sort of popped rather than smoothly transitioning. It's like, as gorgeous as this game is, there are flaws. There are spots you can say. There was one sequence where full-on ray tracing would have been a way better solution. Like there's a sequence where you spend a great deal of it in like waist-high water, and unfortunately they're using an SSR-based reflection system for a lot of it, and it looks kind of rubbish in spots. Like it is by far the most standout, like awful. Like not great, basically, because you're holding a torch around as well at that point, and you're waving it around, and the torch is like incorrectly reflecting off the water further away from you and things like that because of the SSR technique. And they do some blending of that with some pre-baked stuff as well. So it's most of the time it's fine, but in this one particular sequence, it was like it really stood out because the rest of the game looks so good. Especially when they zoom in on characters' faces and get right up in there. Like, look, when you just, like, an extreme close-up on Senwa's eye. It's just like, I don't know why you did that. Are you just flexing? And it's like, oh, yeah, you're just flexing. That looks great. And to top it all off, they've got a photo mode built into the game that you can activate at any time, whether you're in control of the character or not. Like, if it's during a cutscene, it will limit your movement, like during cutscenes, because I guess there might be some stuff happening off shot in a classic style that the game doesn't want to show you. But you can stop it at any moment and do photo mode stuff with it, and like so you can really zoom in on what's going on in the landscape. You can get right down to the ground level, and because of Nanite, the level of detail on show is exquisite. Hey, you know that thing I talked about, like. Oh God, how long ago? It must be like 20 years ago now. You like the Gears of War level 3, right? And you just go, oh man, best water on rocks.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're way past that. Like I think I had that sort of moment in this a little bit where it's just like, oh, water on rocks.
But what about water on windscreen?
Yeah. So jury's still out on that one. I mean, there was a water-based sequence later on in the game as well, where there's some big ass waves basically, and I think that's not, they didn't do those quite as well as I expected, because the waves normally look pretty good in that game, like the way they wash onto the ground and the way the wash goes back into the sea, like that looks pretty impressive as well. You know, it's still not perfect. That's an incredibly hard effect to pull off, but it's looking better and better. Man. Yeah, what a visual achievement this thing is. Like, I think one of the best fights in the game highlights a lot of the details about it, and I think Digital Foundry picked up on this as well. Like, there's a fight you do early on in the game against another human character. Well, a human character whose face is fully visible, right? And so the characters are emoting during this pretty intense fight, which, for the record, I think is probably one of the best fights in the game, and it's one of the earliest ones. I think it just feels really good, and there's lots of those cinematic moments I mentioned, like in between sort of your progression of it, but you can like see the characters' faces whilst they're doing this, and it's incredibly it's incredibly well done. What an achievement this game is, like on a technical level. It really is. But it is doing, other drawbacks. Okay, it's only running at 30 FPS on Series X. Digital Foundry have done some research using a build they have that they think is close to that sort of power, and they think the Xbox would probably come close to being able to achieve 60 FPS. But there are spots where it wouldn't be able to hold that. So they I think correctly chose the 30 presentation, and it's fine. It's not a problem at all.
kind of cinematic.
Yeah,
in a way,
100%,
isn't it? Having it
100%.
closer to 24 frames. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that Matrix demo was running at 24.
Right. Oh, really? Oh, what? All the time?
Yeah,
Or
during that. Oh, until you got to the like the city
gameplay
section.
bit,
Like
yeah,
so
okay.
so like the actual, the bulk of the main demo was running at 24, full cinematic. So yeah, they're a little bit better than that. And it's also running anamorphic as well. So there's black bars at the top and bottom of the screen the whole time to achieve cinema anamorphic ratio, which means that the resolution it's running at is lower than you might expect. Anyway, because they've got plenty, they're not rendering some of the screen. And it's not hitting 4K either on Series X. It's not managing to get there. It's like near a 1440p if you were to take the black bars away.
But none of this matters because it looks awesome.
It really doesn't. No, the soft aesthetic and the way that they're using those post processing effects and the like. As you said, like 100%, they've gone for the cinematic look, and to achieve that with current post processing techniques, having that full 4K isn't necessary. It's masked well enough by good anti-aliasing and soft focus. Like the depth of field is nearly flawless in this thing. Like I don't know, like depth of field effects in a lot of 3D engines. Like you can often see like the boundaries where the blur begins, right? And it's like I don't know that I've seen that here. It's impeccable. The chromatic aberration around the edges of the screen, which some people have a bit of beef with, but it's a very lensy looking effect. Like it's spot on. Like
the classic argument of like, why is there a lens here?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's an incredible looking thing. Tonally, I think I can see it's probably going to put a whole bunch of people off, right? Obviously. It's pretty intense, and in some ways, I'm going to say I don't think I'm quite into the idea this time round as I was in Hellblade 1, and I think there's a number of reasons for that, because Hellblade 1's thing was that like the game was structured in a way that meant that it was exploring various different forms of mental disorder and psychosis, and that its various segments were kind of mimicking a certain disorder or a certain emotion or something like that. It was a very kind of rigid, I suppose, but also like very meaningful structure. But they've already done that, right? So they can't do that so much here. So here the segments aren't necessarily as thematically solid as they were in the first game. It's also, I don't know, a little bit dubious. Like the whole first game had an air of like, did any of this really happen? Was it all in Senua's head? Like, is the magic and mystery element to all this all just it's just entirely an internal coping mechanism or something like that she's experiencing and she's going through? This game seems to suggest that no, magic and things are kind of a real thing. Like Senua might see stuff that other people don't, but I guess they're either buying into the mythology or hell, that giant is real. They all seem to think that giant is real, although
they do discuss it quite a lot.
Yeah, and they all seem to. Do you remember that E3 sequence, like from a couple years back, where they actually sort of fight a giant? It's like that sequence is in this game still, so there's other people fighting something. Unless you're imagining the whole thing, which seems a bit much. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's this whole move is necessarily working for me. But then again, I haven't fully finished the game. There could be some late game like hinting at what this all really is.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, something like that. Or
you wake up in a hospital bed because she's not even actually fighting.
Yeah, it's suddenly Alice in Borderland all over again. What was that show called where they're all stuck on the night? Lost, right? Where that really did have it's all a dream ending, didn't it?
Unbelievable.
I never watched that show, but
Yeah, I never got into it. I think my mum watched it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I heard it's quite good, in the middle. J.J. Abrams, isn't it?
Yeah, it must have had something going for it to keep everyone hooked. But
I think it was like constant mystery box, right? Like,
what on earth is this? What on earth is this?
And stuff. Yeah.
What on earth is this? Just keep it going. So I think those are sort of my beefs with it. And the pacing I think can be very slow at times. Like the periods between you actually doing something can be far too long. And I do actually think that like the complexity of puzzles has been dialed down this time as well from the first one. There were bits from the first, again because of the structure, I suppose. There were areas in the game that had a unique puzzle mechanic that you would come across like just for that area. And I don't really think that's at play here. The puzzles only really ever form one of two things, which is look at thing to change environment, or get the environment lined up in a specific way to make a symbol. I think both of which were in the first game in some form. I think the move environment is subtly different here, but or change the environment system. But there were more puzzle mechanics in the first game, and I don't know. Like I said, it is less of a game, and it's more experiential. But certain moments where it makes you do a button press, but it doesn't tell you to make a button press because obviously there's no on-screen prompting or anything like that to tell you.
Right, because that would ruin the
yeah. So there were a couple of spots where it's waiting for me to do a thing, and I'm like, oh, but I've never done that thing before. Why did you expect me to push the button to do the thing there? And then I just die, and I'm like, okay, well, let's do that sequence again then. And this time I'll mash the keypad with my palm now, I guess. So some telegraphing issues, I guess.
I mean, that extended even to when I was watching you play it. It's like, pick up the torch.
Right.
Because there was no reason for you to do that because you hadn't done that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the game wouldn't tell you to do it.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then, sometimes you get a hint from the voices.
Right.
The voices will sort of lead you.
I mean, that one did kind of have a hint in it. The light defeats the dark or whatever. And it's like, well, obviously you have to take the light with you, I guess.
Yeah. And that's a recurring theme, obviously.
Well, yes, obviously.
Because the darkness is what Hellnoa calls her pain, I suppose, her problems. So it's it's there are some telegraphing issues.
And they should have made it a vibration, right? Have a vibration when you can do something.
Yeah, so it doesn't pull you out of the visual experience.
Yeah.
That probably would have been better. I mean, there are times I think where it does do a little nudge of the controller to. I think there are times where it does do that, but not just to sort of remind you you're in control.
Right.
Like, by the way, you're playing this. But I don't think it does that consistently either. Damn fine work, Ninja Theory. Damn fine work.
Good work.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. There's some phenomenal looking stuff in this.
Now to get shut down.
Yeah. I mean, they are apparently already working on their next project, but because I guess, of course, they would be. Let's hope they don't fall under the.
So, remind me. You probably already said. Is it Game Pass or is it how much is it?
I actually don't know what its price tag is. I'm playing on Game Pass. I've got no idea what its out of Game Pass price is. But it is longer than I thought it would be. Honestly, there are these collectibles that are actually surprisingly well hidden, as it turns out, in spots. That also track which one, that when you pick them up, they show you which one of them they are and in the sequence of collectibles. So you can sort of see where you've missed them. It's like, and it's annoying every time when you notice that. It's just like, damn it, there's one, like I missed one somewhere. But then, like, so they're not necessarily indicative of length. There can be large periods of time where there legitimately aren't any of those. Like, there's quite a while before you see the first one at the start of the game, and now I've reached the end of that chain of collectibles, and there's been quite a while after that. And in a way, it's been quite nice
to know that.
Yeah, because now I'm just fully immersing, I guess, rather than scanning the environment.
Those always seem kind of weird to have collectibles in that game.
Yeah.
Which is like, now I'm going to wander around this area pointlessly for a minute just to try and find the collectibles.
I'm in the middle of an important conversation with this character whilst we're walking and talking, but I'm just going to go over here.
And annoyingly, the collectibles, the voices are location specific, so you can't even walk away from them after you've triggered them. You have to stand there and wait for the voice to finish.
Yeah, there's lore attached to the collectibles, and it's spoken. So yeah, and
which makes even less sense because all the voices are in your head, presumably including these collectibles.
yeah. Minor annoyances. I think the game might have been better without them, but they did do the lore posts in the first game as well. But maybe that's what the second. But I missed stuff. That's the problem. My second playthrough, if I do it again, it's not going to be like that full just experience it thing. It has got a difficulty slider as well, so maybe I turn that up. But out of the box, the game has like just leave it alone. We'll dynamically adjust it if we see that you're struggling. We'll make things a bit easier. Presumably, that's entirely for the combat sequences, which can be a little obtuse, I suppose. But they do look and feel good. Anyway, that's Hellblade. It's out.
It's out. You've got Game Pass. Definitely play it.
That's just kind of the thing, I suppose. It's like, it's been so long. It finally came out. Oh my god. Right, and then the last thing I've got is something I think I teased at the end of the last episode as a game that you have played, Dan, that I am playing the PlayStation version of. I mean, PS1 version of.
What?
You fly a jet helicopter around the moon of Callisto.
G-Police. Why are you playing G-Police?
I've been playing G-Police. Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit of a deep cut.
Yeah. I had it on my shelf, actually, like behind me, like whilst I was on a work call, and someone called it out. It's like, is that motherfucking G-Police? And I'm like, yes, it is.
That game is like mysteriously okay. I seem to remember.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
it's all right.
I think the PlayStation version, I think, well, clearly it's not as good as the version we played back in the day, because we were playing the 3DFX accelerated version of it with a joystick, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, which was cool.
The PlayStation version isn't quite the same. Yeah, I thought it was going to control okay on a DualShock controller, but it's not quite there, if I'm being honest. It's not quite as immersive. I'm struggling a little bit with the control, mainly because there's no sensitivity options for the sticks, and the look stick is actually really quite fast.
Yeah, weird.
Like you can turn around pretty quickly, and because there's no throttle, I suppose, on the you're using two of the face buttons to do accelerate and brake, which.
Right, because it did have a throttle. I remember.
It had a throttle. Well, you could attach it to your joystick throttle.
Yeah,
right. Which really helped. Also, the PlayStation version really has a draw distance problem. It is It is really close.
Yeah.
Which makes it, and it's weird. The game actually has like graphics options, so if you want, you can make that draw distance bigger and sacrifice frame rate. And I'm playing it kind of every.
How does that work in emulation? Can you?
Oh, I'm not emulating it. I'm doing it on real hardware.
Oh, you're playing on your PlayStation?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm doing it for real. So it's. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if you can just brute. You raise an interesting question. I wonder if you can brute force through that on emulation. And make
Might as well just play the PC version.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess the version we were playing is weird, right? Because it was the 3DFX version.
Like it came with the graphics card. That's why I had it.
Yeah. So like actually getting that to run on PC might be a bit challenging. I wonder if there's like a Direct 3D edition that's like not tethered to 3DFX. Yeah, interesting. I might have to look for that. So you get these three sliders, like it literally just calls them view angle, draw distance, and frame rate, and you can select any one of those and tweak them. But if you push frame rate up, then it push the other two down, right? So I'm playing it with them all in the middle, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of like the draw distance still feels far too close at the medium setting, but the frame rate also feels kind of bad. So it's like, do I make my FOV really thin in the hope that I get a bit more frames out of it, or to get a little bit more draw distance, or do I just suck it up and be like, no, I'm just gonna have to play with this pretty close draw distance. You can change the view, like pressing select once at the start of the mission is a helpful thing, because the default view is in cockpit, but with the cockpit struts visible.
Right.
But the first press of the select button on the controller just gets rid of the struts, which is like, a little bit of performance boost. It's rendering fewer. Right, okay, yeah. It's rendering fewer polygons. Let's go. It's a pretty good game. It's pretty good. I'm actually quite enjoying it. Like it's basically just fly to area, shoot some dudes who are shooting you.
Sometimes escort a car.
Yeah. I just did one of those. And
then fly through the little gates between the tunnels between the
which sort of teleport
domes.
You through the domes with a little green trail.
It's cool. It's like, I like that kind of Blade Runner Syndicate kind of aesthetic.
I'm hoping I can, like, it's a tricky one for me because I have to play it when Milesy isn't about, because it's on, well, the way I'm playing it, I've still got my original PlayStation hooked up to the telly, and I can't have that on the floor with cables everywhere when he's about. Right, it's a bad scene. So I haven't played a huge amount of it, but it's a pretty good game. I quite enjoy it. Vintage.
Yeah, it's got a good atmosphere, I think.
If you don't mind playing a game that's about government police.
Right, where you play as
the police.
The fascist state. Right?
Shooting up guys who just randomly start to shoot at you, I suppose.
Yeah, it's probably not the best in that sense.
I mean, it is literally government police. That's the other thing. The G doesn't stand for anything fancy. It's just government.
Yeah.
Which is all police?
Yeah, aren't you like a veteran of you're like a veteran of a war as well, and you're a soldier, and you're literally flying basically the helicopter gunships that you used in the war, but now you're using them against
people
in a city.
Kind of, yeah.
Bit dodgy.
It's a I mean, there are times where, like, I think the PlayStation does like oil its VO using Redbook. I don't think it's playing samples because the music stops whenever like a bit of radio chatter comes on. So I think it's using like CD tracks to do the chatter. There's one of those where it basically went, "Good works." It says "Good work, Slater." Good work, Slater. But I every time I don't really hear it as Slater. Like it sounds like Slayer to me. He's like, "Good work, Slayer." And I'm like, I'm the Doom guy.
Yeah, it's the new Doom game. Future Doom. Or more Future Doom, I suppose.
Man, I was talking to the same colleague who picked out G-Police on my shelf about Descent the other day, and I'm like, we could do another Descent.
Yeah.
They've tried, though.
Descent was cool. Well, Descent 1 and 2 were cool, and Forsaken was kind of cool.
G-Police. I know, yeah. And thank you to your colleague for randomly suggesting that or seeing it on your shelf.
He spotted it, yeah. It was just
like, yeah, look at that.
And in fairness, I did pick that up pretty recently. Like, it was just, I just had it on the brain and I was like, I could probably get hold of a copy of that. Early Signosis joint.
Indeed, yeah.
Well, not that early, I suppose. When you talk about Signosis' history, early Signosis joints
I suppose
are
it's
Amiga.
got a little bit of the wipeouty.
Yeah, I guess.
A little bit.
I mean, oh man, next time you're here, I should show you the menu for it, because like, if you want an unreadable font on your menu, this is the game for you.
Sweet.
That's me.
And that's you. Okay. Well, I've been doing nothing apart from playing that Magic Arena client. I don't have anything more to say right now, but I think we should do a video, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd watch some of you playing it.
I will try and explain like my journey so far and how badly it's going, and let's see how wrecked I get on video. But yeah, I know I've repeated it, but yeah. So it is just that's the thing about Magic is it's just it's the random luck variance element of it, right? Which does make it fun in a way, because it's like what I don't understand is like, why would anyone play competitive Magic? Why wouldn't you just play chess? Like you need a game where the variance is like minimal. The only variance in chess is who goes first, right? And that doesn't matter that much, and you can even that out quite easily. But with this, it's just like. And then it's like, so the deck I've got, which is a good meta deck, what makes it good is the consistency of it, right? But even then, it's like, you can still get totally screwed over.
Sure, yeah.
Even with the thing, like if you play best of ones in this game, like I said, it is not fully random what you get in your opening hand, because you will get a land,
right? Yeah.
Which I think is an improvement for especially for the best of one. But yeah, it is quite funny how with this deck that I'm playing, I'll show it to you on the video, but it's quite low to the ground, so it's sort of surprising how far you can get with just 2 lands, when you're not drawing any mana at all. It's surprising how okay you can do, but you're still behind. Sure, it just makes it very unlikely you can win. But
because you're still limited. You can't. It's not like you can, just because it's turn 4, right, and you've got 2 lands out, you can't then go up to 4, right? You have to still 1 land a turn, right? That's still a thing.
Yeah. You can only play 1 land per turn, exactly.
Yeah, because I think that was the trick that Hearthstone did, right? It's like you didn't need to play lands for mana pool, but the size of the mana pool increased each turn.
Just automatically. So they just got rid of that whole element of the game and made it just more consistent, right? So, but, that does have some cool parts to it. Like the lands are important. Like that's the thing that seems to be, loads of things are different about Magic now, but most lands people play aren't the basic lands anymore.
Right, yeah, the duels.
They're lands that give you some kind of, choice between. There's like a million kinds of dual lands. I think I talked about this before, but like with different drawbacks for being able to use them for 2 kinds of mana.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but I think and the thing I haven't done is the draft. So I thought I'll do a video. I'll show you how I got where I am by doing the starter deck and then modifying one of those and then making a new deck based on one of the meta ones. But the thing I haven't done is any of the draft stuff, right, which we talked about. But that would be interesting to do. But I think it's...
Well, the problem is how long is the deck building phase, or how long does it give you to do a draft?
Well, exactly. So you're on a timer. I think it's fairly generous, but like I think to do it properly, and presumably this is what your brother does when he goes to do it for real, is the trick is you have to basically have looked at and learnt what all the cards are in the set before you go, right? So you're not faffing around.
Probably have to have built some strategies before you've even begun.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it does tell you like so the draft at the moment for the current set, like it says these are the archetypes of decks. Right, generally. Obviously, you could come up with new ones, but when you're doing the draft and you don't have full control over the cards, then it's like there's this kind of deck that works with this mechanic, and there's this that works with this mechanic and these colors, and
right. That's pretty good of them. Yeah. So at least it
nice.
Takes you through what were presumably the intended designs that they were working on when they made the set. Yeah.
So like the latest set is kind of quite weirdly themed, but it's cowboys. It's a Western set, but it has
that's kind of cool.
It's cool, but it has like characters from all over the fantasy Magic universe, but transposed into a Western setting. But it therefore has like Western mechanics, and then one of them is like committing crimes or something, which is like anytime you target the enemy or do something like that, you commit a crime, and there's cards that care
crime tokens.
You've done crimes, and there's various like quick draw and all kinds of, I don't know, I can't remember what they all are, but anyway, I think it would be good. Let's do a video and I can show you, and then
that sounds kind of funny,
you guys, and we'll get that on YouTube, and maybe we'll end up with a series of me failing at Magic videos.
We definitely have to have the most criminal deck.
Yeah, well, we could try. Well, that's the thing, is like with the draft, I could try and make one, with the cards that I have for the normal constructed play. that does the crimes. But for the draft, you have to see what you get, right? But
are most of the cowboys in white, because they're on the plains.
Well, obviously they are. Yeah. Yes. I mean, you get like zombie cowboys in black, right? Shit like that. Yeah. All kinds of nonsense.
Undead nightmare turns up.
Undead. Yeah, all kinds of mad stuff. So it's Western, but it's pretty wacky.
I guess the Red Dead Redemption cards could be there, right? The red suit. It's there. It's in the name.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, I'm going to show you guys instead of... Okay. And anyone listening, you can pop on our YouTube channel and in a while we'll have that up.
Yeah, in about a month, probably.
Yeah, in about a month, I'd say. But in the meantime...
Do crimes.
In the meantime, we're playing Half-Life 2, so check that out on...
Play your crimes in that.
Crimes
you are anti-citizen number one. You are the most criminal.
Anti-citizen one.
Also, there's crimes against PC stability in that as well.
They could do a Half-Life, whatever.
Half-Life magic.
They've done Fallout magic.
Were those ever in like standard, like that in Lord of the Rings?
I can't remember. Oh yeah, I learned. By the way, I looked it up. They've changed standard, so it's like a 3-year rather than 2-year thing.
Okay,
so
right.
There's 4 sets a year. So now there are 12 sets in standard, and they rotate in a rolling way, which is quite nice because your deck's not going to get too screwed or whatever. Sure. It's going to if a new set comes out, those cards are going to last you in standard for 3 years.
Yeah, assuming your deck is entirely built on the newest
the new set, but it isn't, right? The best deck is a mix of all the cards available, and that rotates every year, right? And
presumably every 3 months, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't they rotate in blocks of 3 or something like that.
Oh, okay. So there's like it expands and then contracts and then expands.
Exactly.
And then contracts,
yeah, exactly. I think so. So I think it's due to rotate in end of July or something like that. So the set I've got is going to need to change, or I'll get a new one at that point, depending on if I'm still playing this thing.
Need more cowboys. Cowboy elves.
But the cowboys will still be legal. It's just some older ones. I think the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is going out, so some of the sort of feudal Japan themed ones will be going out.
Oh,
which is a shame. But they'll just do a new one of those sets. That was already a return to that plane or whatever.
Oh yeah, of course, planes, right?
Planes, right? It's a metaverse.
Planes walkers.
It always was. That's the thing. It always was.
Always was a metaverse. Yeah.
Yeah. So they knew what they were doing.
Way before the spiders got involved.
Yeah. I just really, really, really don't care about any of the lore.
No, I'm with you there.
No. But it is sort of funny how there's cards which are like characters, obviously, and then they come back in the new sets, and so there's a cowboy version of the dickhead from that was terrorizing standard 2 years ago or something like that. Oko. Anyway.
The only one I could probably recognize is whoever the red lady planeswalker is.
Do you remember Urza?
By name, I couldn't tell you anything else.
That Urza deck that with those Urza lands, that's still a thing.
Wasn't that like 4th edition or something like that?
Yeah,
super early.
Yeah, but it's called Tron.
Tron.
Okay. The deck's called Tron because you have to assemble all 3 lands, right, to get the mana boost. Remember those lands?
Yep.
So it's called Tron.
What, so then you annoy the central mainframe and you win?
Yeah, presumably.
Central processing unit or whatever it was. I don't know. I can't remember. The CPU was the big bad in Tron, right?
I haven't seen Tron for a long time.
The big spinning cylinder face.
It's too similar to Power Rangers. That's always going to confuse me in my mind.
It was Power Rangers. Oh, wait, yeah.
Zordon,
yeah.
the big not spinning face.
No.
But similar.
Which then, Chain confuses me with Patrick Moore's Games Master face.
Yeah, also similar.
So it's not. Oh, I've just realised that it's not actually a reference to Tron. It's because it's Urzatron, as in Voltron, as in Assemble Voltron.
So
And it's short for
Power Rangers
Urzatron.
again, basically.
Yeah.
But not quite.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Right. Yeah.
Megazords.
Yep.
So yes, stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more Half-Life 2. Maybe some magic coming soon.
Did they do some
And-
dinosaur Power Ranger Zords at one point? Like Dinozords? Was that a thing?
They were always dinosaurs, right? The Megazords.
Oh, were they? Oh no, the regular Zords before they combined, right? Like,
Into the Megazords, yes, right.
and the Megazord was just a dude.
Yes. The Triceratops was one of the feet, right? And then you had the saber-toothed tiger.
It was, yeah,
The
maybe
middle
it's-
one.
yeah, maybe they were all dinos. Or maybe they've always the dinosaurs all along. I just don't really. I only ever remember the Megazord, right? And then suddenly they're in one room.
There are dinosaurs in Magic at the moment in Standard, and they're usually giant green creatures,
Sweet.
right?
Can't go wrong with a dinosaur.
Watch out for the dinos.
Turn the electricity on. Keep those fences live. Top tip.
Top tip for your dinosaur theme park owners out there.
Indeed. Hold on to your butts.
And with that, we'll be back in another couple of weeks with another Saladcast, and catch you then. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.